What up, chat? Chat. Hello, chat. How are you today? Some would say, oh no, it's back, my voice. Not good. My voice was crackling. We can't have that, chat. That's not gonna work for me. No, sir. Stop your crackling. No crackling allowed. Hello? Hello, chat. That's right. Lots of noise. Let's see how this looks without my background, chat. Supposed to rain today. We got rain. How's that sound? That's right. Hassan's about to go on a fucking... Huh? Hassan's about to go on CNN, apparently. I just heard. What's up, chatters? Welcome to the channel. How you doing? That's right, good old Hassan B. Let's start off with that, cause da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Breaking news from Mexico.
This is Dr. Stephen Greer.
That's right. We got Stephen Greer here.
You know, we've been examining the Boogosphere for the last 2 days with Congressman Burleson and a group of scientists. We've just been notified by Jaime Maussan that there was an attempt by fake policemen to enter the vault where this Boogosphere is stored, and we have notified security and the apparatus I'm working with under law enforcement. And you should know that the other risk here is that we have taken specific samples from the Boogosphere that will be tested in a state-of-the-art lab to prove whether or not the metal, as well as some of the other components, are of Earth or outer space origin. Those scientists' information have been provided to the top law enforcement and security apparatus that I'm working with, and so any sort of attempts to interfere with this examination will be known, and the people and perpetrators will be held to account for. So this is what I wanted people to know, and we're doing everything to set up security for this. Thank you.
Okay, and you want to know what the Boogosphere is? We do. Right, chat? I know we do. We're curious. We're very curious. Okay, that's not working. Fucking bitch. Motherfucking bitch. All right, chat. I promise I'll swear more.
Hi, this is the Boogosphere, which has been doing all the rounds on the social medias the last couple of months, probably, I think. But anyway, this just popped up today. And look, breaking news. The Buga, am I pronouncing that correctly? Sphere might not just be strange, it may be transmitting communications protocols. They've got some complicated frequency measuring gear here, and they're measuring the Boogosphere. Here it is. So let's watch it.
Yeah. That's out of range. It's there. It is right now. But for example, right now it's 1.2. Projected 2.2 is recorded. So
1.2.
The frequency
They're talking
varies.
hertz.
No, what does that mean? Well, it's not a frequency or these are different frequencies. It's a game of frequencies. It goes
Look at the
up,
alien
down,
writings on it.
disappears, comes back. I don't know. It's trying to communicate or I don't know, but
What?
it's lying. This would explain
It's
why
lying?
some people get headaches. Yes, of course.
Gives
an
people
emission
headaches.
here, and why he
Oh,
turned the lights
there's an
on.
emission. Look, there is absolutely an emission here. Look at this.
An emission?
2.1 hertz. This is a very expensive, complicated frequency measuring device they've got here. No doubt calibrated.
There's an
Look.
emission here. An
A
effect.
definite emission there. You saw it. Look, there it is there. Definite emission, 2.1
Clamp.
hertz. It is
There's
emitting
an
stuff.
emission here.
Yeah, he's using a clamp voltmeter, a highly sophisticated voltage tester. And he's got it set to continuity. And he's saying that there's continuity between those 2 points. Which means you can send a voltage between the red line and the black line. This is bullshit.
Frequency meters beeping.
Engineer
Frequency
Rodolfo
meter.
Garrido. First, before any
Hertz. Okay, so he's sending voltage through there at 60 hertz and finding it's 21.
anything else, the signal that was
What?
detected yesterday is
The
clearly
resistance?
visible on the instrument.
What's the resistance?
Clearly, we saw it.
It's a 2.13 hertz signal.
2.13 hertz.
Look, the frequency is very low. You would say
Look.
it's significant, but suddenly it went down.
There it
more,
is.
Went up
It's-
a little,
it's-
and then the signal was
Well,
gone.
it just vanished. It just went.
Some time passed, and we received the signal again.
And they got it back.
That's reported. Well, I can't explain this at the moment. I declare my competence, and it was necessary to seek advice from more experts.
Yeah, I can't
more
explain
learned
that
people,
either. That is
especially
weird.
Oh,
one of
sure.
My teachers at the university. This one, who is associated with the communications issue.
Look, clear. Now it's 2.2. 2.1 drops a bit.
And so
Okay, this is another one of those fake UFO bullshit. Get your attention and make you think about bullshit you shouldn't. Stephen Greer still fucking out there, grifting the UFO thing. You know how much money he's made off that? I literally could probably say the things he says, which is nothing. That's the trick. Chat.
Video in
Dr.
Memphis.
Stephen Greer
It's a
says
edit-
nothing. That's his trick. He's the best at saying everything and saying nothing at once. That's right. Some would say I'm better at it, but no one would know. Uh-oh, we got Stephen Miller coming up, folks. I see him on my playlist.
Welcome to Democracy Now!,
Let's get rid of
democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. An estimated 8 million people.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome.
Hold on. I got to do this right. I'm starting to think about clipping. Right? I got to figure out how to grow my channel this year. I do. I'm only live for 3 hours. I want people in here like fucking chatting like it was last month. What happened? Where'd everyone go? Okay, resetting this. Gonna reduce constant noise and reduce harsh constant noise and secondary speech. That's what we want. All the way up. Don't want to be hearing mouse clicks. Okay, it knows the difference. All right, chat. You guys ready for the news? Are you guys ready for the news? Headlines. Headlines. Let's go. Bam.
To Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. An estimated 8 million people took to the streets of cities across
8 million libs marched. That's great.
50 U.S. states and more than a dozen countries around the world Saturday in thousands of protests against President Trump under the banner No Kings. Organizers say it was the largest single day of protest in U.S. history. In St. Paul, Minnesota, about 200,000 protesters gathered at the state capitol just miles from where federal immigration agents killed Renee Good and Alex Pretty in January.
We're used
After
to ice,
headlines
but not
will
like
air
this.
Speeches from the St. Paul rally. You'll hear
Ice
from
melts
Joan
in
Baez
Texas.
and Bruce Springsteen, Ilhan Omar, and others. And we go to the streets of New York throughout the 5 boroughs. The U.S.-Israeli war.
Yeah, this is proof that what HASAN is saying is actually true. And you're going to see what I mean next.
And Iran has entered its 5th week. President Trump told the Financial Times Sunday he would prefer, quote, to take the oil and seize Iran's oil export hub, Kharg Island. Shortly after his comments, the price of oil surged to $116 a barrel. Separately, President Trump spoke to reporters aboard Air Force One and boasted about regime change in Iran.
But we've had regime change. If you look already.
Do you realize I can narrow down where his fucking flight is just by the information on the right side? I can narrow his flight path down to a certain area. Can you, chat? Just by those numbers that are right there. Look at those 3 numbers and infer where he might be flying. What part of the United States? We know it's in one particular area. Right?
Before, it's a whole different group of people.
President Trump's comments come as 3,500 U.S. troops began arriving in the region Friday.
Wow.
The Washington Post reported Saturday night the Pentagon's preparing for weeks of potential ground conflict in Iran. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal is reporting President Trump's considering a military operation to seize nearly 1,000 pounds of uranium from Iran. This is Ibrahim Zulfikari, the spokesperson for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Did you see the guy just stand there like, oh my God, my troops suck?
In response to Trump's recent threats of ground operations or occupation of any...
They got all 3 mullahs up now. You can't take the Iranians down, man, like this. This isn't going to work. This is the dumbest fucking exercise that America has ever been in. This beats the Afghanistan and Iraq war by a mile, and might not necessarily in a quagmire unless they continue to stay, but might be as bad as Vietnam. I'm not even lying.
Any part of Iranian territory, which of course is nothing more than a wish. We announced that the warriors of Islam have been waiting for such actions for a long time to prove that aggression and occupation will not result in anything other than humiliating captivity and dismemberment and disappearance of the aggressors.
CENTCOM says more than 300 U.S. troops have been wounded in the Iran war. So far, 13 U.S. service members have died. According to a consortium of human rights groups in Iran, nearly 1,500 Iranian civilians, some say more than 2,000 have been killed. At least 217 children have been killed in the U.S. and Israeli strikes. U.S. officials say Iran fired 6 ballistic missiles and 29 drones at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, wounding at least 15 U.S. service members Friday. The Iranian strike also destroyed the U.S. military's E-3 Sentry radar aircraft. The first time the $300 million plane has been lost in combat. Wow. On Saturday, Yemen's Houthi rebels fired a barrage of Missiles at southern Israel for the first time since the war began, targeting what the group called sensitive Israeli military sites. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signed air defense cooperation agreements with Qatar and the United Arab Emirates Saturday after signing a similar deal with Saudi Arabia during his visit to the kingdom Thursday. Ukraine has sent anti-drone experts to all three Gulf countries, as Iran has been targeting infrastructure in the region using drones similar to ones used by Russia against Ukraine. On Sunday, Zelensky also visited Jordan for security talks.
Wearing black.
An Israeli strike targeted a marked press car in southern Lebanon Saturday, killing Ali Shoaib of Al-Manar TV, reporter Fatima Fatouni of Al-Mayadeen TV, and her brother, freelance cameraman Mohammed Fatouni. Israel's military said it targeted Shoaib, accusing him of being a Hezbollah intelligence operative without providing evidence. Israel made no mention of the two other journalists killed. Protesters gathered in Martyr Square in Beirut Saturday, holding photos of the dead journalists killed in the Israeli airstrike.
The important
thing we all want to draw attention to is that the Israeli enemy, once they find anyone standing for rights and supporting the oppressed, tries to silence that voice. And the voice of the oppressed cannot be stopped, despite the enemy trying to overpower it, or no matter how many killings they carry out.
Lebanon's information minister said the government would file a complaint with the UN Security Council over what he called Israel's deliberate and blatant war crime against the media, unquote. Meanwhile, the UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon, UNIFIL, said a peacekeeper was killed Sunday when a projectile exploded at one of its positions in southern Lebanon. Another peacekeeper was critically injured. On Saturday, the World Health Organization said 9 paramedics were killed in 5 separate Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon, bringing the total number of health workers killed by Israel in March to 51. The attacks come as Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the Israeli military to further expand the security buffer zone in southern Lebanon. The United Nations says Israeli strikes and evacuation orders in Lebanon have displaced more than 370,000 children. More than 120 children have been killed and nearly 400 have been injured in Israeli attacks this month. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes on 2 checkpoints in Khan Yunis killed at least 6 Palestinians, including a child Sunday, according to local health officials. The Israeli military has killed over 680 Palestinians in Gaza since a U.S.-brokered ceasefire with Hamas came into effect last November. This is the mother of Samar al-Faisis, who was killed in Israeli airstrikes on Sunday.
This is the 4th martyr. I do not have any sons left. No sons are left. That's enough. That's enough. 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 What is the fault of this woman? What is the fault of this child? This child. 2.5 years old and orphaned. There is a fetus in her womb who will enter the world without a father.
Israeli police prevented Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, from entering the Church of the Holy Sepulchre on Palm Sunday to celebrate Mass, due to Israel's ban on gatherings at religious sites during the Iran war. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said Iranian missiles had repeatedly targeted Jerusalem's holy sites with missile fragments landing near the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The Latin Patriarchate said it was the first time in centuries the heads of the church were prevented from celebrating Palm Sunday Mass at the site, calling the incident a grave precedent. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas called it a violation of religious freedom. Following the backlash, Prime Minister Netanyahu said the Latin Patriarch would receive full and immediate access to the church. Pope Leo has reprimanded U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for using Christian scripture to justify waging war and slaughtering people. During a Palm Sunday Mass in St. Peter's Square, the Pope said God refuses the prayers of leaders who have hands full of blood. Meanwhile, leaders of the Democratic Women's Caucus and Congressional Black Caucus have condemned Hegseth for personally intervening to block the promotion of 4 Army officers to become 1-star generals. 2 of the 4 denied promotions are Black, 2 are women. The remaining officers on track for promotions are overwhelmingly white men.
Wow.
A New Jersey man has been arrested and charged with plotting to firebomb the home of a prominent Palestinian-American activist in Brooklyn. Alexander Heifler is accused of assembling Molotov cocktails and planning an arson attack against Nordine Kiswani, the co-founder of Within Our Lifetime. Kiswani has led protests in support of Palestinians and against Israel's assault on the Gaza Strip. Investigators say Heifler is a member of the Jewish Defense League, a pro-Israel group designated as a terrorist group by the FBI.
Yes.
He allegedly planned to flee to Israel after launching the attack.
Shit.
We'll speak with Nordine Kiswani
the Mossad,
later in the broadcast. President Trump Sunday bragged to reporters his planned White House ballroom is, quote, ahead of schedule and under budget, unquote. He also described the ballroom as a shed for a massive military complex being built underneath. The National Trust for Historic Preservation has sued the Trump administration, alleging the ballroom construction ignored required reviews and public input.
No one cares.
Bank of America has agreed to pay more than $72 million to settle a federal lawsuit brought by hundreds of survivors of rape and sexual abuse by the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Survivors filed the lawsuit last October, alleging Bank of America overlooked clear signs Epstein was using a pair of bank accounts to carry out crimes. The suit claimed Bank of America had, quote, a plethora of information regarding Epstein's sex trafficking operation, but chose profit over protecting the victims, unquote.
Of course!
It's the third settlement of its kind after Deutsche Bank and J.P. Morgan Chase paid out a combined $365 million to settle lawsuits brought by Epstein's survivors.
I don't think they like me very much.
The shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security is now the longest shutdown of any federal agency in U.S. history. On Friday, a record number of TSA workers called out of work. Since the shutdown began, more than 500 TSA officers have quit. Last week, the House passed its own short-term bill to fund the entire Department of Homeland Security after the Senate passed a bill excluding funding for ICE and Border Patrol. The House bill now heads to the Senate, which is currently in a 2-week recess. And here in New York, Senator Bernie Sanders rallied support Sunday for a proposed income tax increase on New Yorkers earning over $1 million a year. The tax would impose a 2% increase on New York City's wealthiest residents, helping to close the looming budget deficit as Mayor Mamdani seeks to establish universal free early child care, free bus rides, and more affordable housing. This is Senator Sanders speaking at a rally at Lehman College.
The people of this city, the people of this state, the people of this country do not want to see our kids go hungry, do not want to see people sleep out on the street, lack health care. They want the very rich to start paying their fair share of taxes.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org.
He's 100% right, chat. Wake up.
Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel.
Do not listen to the haters who will say, well, I'm a temporarily embarrassed billionaire and I'm going to defend billionaires. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that, okay? And on that line of talking, we have this report from CNN. Just hold on. Just look at the headline alone, okay? Far left political streamer drives wedge into Democratic Party. That headline is equally infuriating as it is awesome. I don't know how to say it. 'Cause like the fact that they think this is what's happening and it's not us and it's HASAN speaking for us. You know what I mean? Oh, it's just HASAN. Yeah, sure. No, it's not just HASAN. He is speaking for the rest of us too. He knows what's up. He knows he has a platform. He sees. He goes out in the streets. He talks to us. He knows what we want. You have to listen to him. Otherwise, you will lose. You will lose the vote every single time. Not necessarily listen to him, but hear him out at least and stop calling him a far leftist political streamer. Maybe he is, but don't call him anti-Semitic. That's for sure. And that's what they're about to do. Watch this shit. This is insane. Actually. But also good. Now keep in mind, HASAN by himself has more hours watched of his show than CNN has. Okay? Like, in metrics, in all the metrics you measure, HASAN's is more popular than CNN. Okay?
Now, Hasan Piker might not be a household name, at least among adults, but ask your kids.
Nope.
His new role as a midterm surrogate for some Democrats is proof that his political influence is expanding far beyond.
Ask an old man like me who's politically aware right now. Okay? It doesn't have to be your fucking kids. It could be you, Jake Tapper.
The streaming platform Twitch, where he has taken up residence. He is, without question, an online influencer with nearly 3 million followers. His rise as a prominent voice on the left is now driving a wedge between Democrats, and for good reason. Hasan Piker's past and present.
And for good reason. It's driving a wedge. Because he said some anti-Semitic things, and we can't have that, folks. No, he didn't say anything anti-Semitic.
Is checkered with controversial, if not outrageous, if not bigoted comments like this one.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it. We totally put it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit.
The ultra-Orthodox Jews.
And again, that's from when he was a young streamer. And he was simply saying, like, blowback, bitch.
Leaving Israel, hilarious. Okay? If they serve in the military and then they get their untrained, inbred asses shipped into southern Lebanon, again, very funny.
He is talking about Israelis who happen to be Jewish. Hello? Do you not understand the distinction between this?
You know, it's Hasan Piker calling Orthodox Jews inbred. Piker has also posted comments such as these, where he unequivocally sides with Hamas, calling them the lesser of two Israels compared to the evils, lesser of two evils compared to the government of Israel. Piker,
Jake Tapper, sir. Jake Tapper, you messed up. You said the lesser of two Israels. You actually said the truth out loud. Listen, he says the lesser of two Israels. He says the lesser of two Israels. I mean,
calling them the lesser of two Israels compared to the government evils. Lesser of two evils compared to the government.
The lesser of two evils. He conflates Israel with evil, as he should, and he cannot speak upon it properly. In this moment, he is having a hard time with words. Poor old Jake. Poor guy. Can you spit it out, buddy?
Orthodox Jews inbred. Piker has also posted comments such as these, where he unequivocally sides with Hamas, calling them the lesser of two Israels compared to the government evils, lesser of two evils compared to the government of Israel. Piker has since apologized for his comments on 9/11, but he stood by the rest. He's accusing others of taking him out of context. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, the leaders of the Democratic think tank Third Way write, quote, Mr. Piker is anti-American, anti-women, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic. No Democrat should engage with him. All
Third Way think tank
should seek to push him to the fringe where he belongs, unquote. Hasan Piker just recently become an issue in Michigan. It's home to a competitive three-way Democratic primary for governor. Dr. Abdul.
He said he's recently become an issue. Recently become an issue.
Abdul Al-Sayed, one of the three candidates and a former CNN commentator, announced that Piker will join him for 2 rallies in April. His opponent.
Oh, the issue is that he's going to join him for a rally. But he appeared on his stream and he seems like a normal guy. What's the problem? He wants our vote. Don't you go talk to the people that you want to get the votes of? Isn't that how politics works? Wake up, you pieces of shit Democrat shills.
Opponents quickly seized on that, slamming the decision as unacceptable, calling Piker not somebody that you should be campaigning with at a moment when there's clearly a lot of pain and trauma across our state.
Dr. Abdul al-Said is a good person, okay? Trying to tell him what's good for him is a mistake, sir.
Donnie O'Sullivan caught up with Piker over the weekend at a No Kings rally in New York and asked how he felt.
Yeah, and so here's Donnie interviewing Hasan live while Hasan is on the street at the No Kings protest, right? Here he is, and Hasan's live on Twitch at the same time as CNN is interviewing him. And Donnie O'Sullivan, he has done this interview thing before with Hasan, so they're friends, whatever, or friendly. But like Jake Tapper then does this fucking hit piece. What?
Fits into the Democratic Party's future.
You have become an issue within the Democratic Party yourself.
You've become an issue, mate?
I don't think I'm necessarily an issue within the Democratic Party as much as I am an issue for a lot of consultants. I don't want fascism to win in this country. I don't want Republicans to win in this country. We can argue on the methods. Maybe you think that my worldview and my values and the policies that I want politicians to represent might be different than yours. But at the end of the day, I think we have the same goals.
I should note, I misspoke. It's a Michigan Senate primary, not governor primary. Jonah Platt is with us. He's the host of Being Jewish with Jonah Platt podcast.
Primary.
Peter Hamby is the founding partner of Puck News. And Peter, look, obviously he has said a lot of things that a lot of people find outrageous, and he called one Jew a Zionist pig dog. He has called Hamas
excuse me,
the Palestinian resistance. He has justified October 7th.
He never
and on
did
and
that.
On and on.
That's a lie.
What
Slander.
does his influence tell you about where the Democratic Party stands today? And I guess, is it despite those comments or because of those comments?
Jake Loser Tapper.
It's despite those comments a little bit. I mean, back to your first question, what it says about the party. I think Dr. Abdul al-Sayed is looking for a lane in a three-way primary. He is slightly behind in the polling. And like a lot of Democrats and a lot of progressives, after the 2024 election, wants to connect with young people, connect with young men, go into the manosphere, go into the podcast space. It just so happens that
it's not the manosphere, by the way. There is a lot of men in his community, but it's not the manosphere, like, so to speak.
Hasan Piker is aligned.
Like, there's no room for misogynistic assholes in the fucking in our party, in leftist parties. Are you kidding me?
With a lot of Dr. Abdul al-Sayed's views on healthcare, on taxing the rich and billionaires, etc. He is a Bernie, AOC, Zoran guy.
Okay, so he's saying, like, yeah, he's a Zoran guy. He's got, okay.
But
so
with that,
and with that being said, what does that mean, sir? Well, he's popular. Why is he popular? What is popular about his message, sir?
That he has a long reputation of saying all of the things you just played here. I was just
they're playing a shot at him when he had his dog with him. Fish.
Talking.
Look, is that fish? Is that
to
fish?
you before the segment?
Oh, no.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I thought that was fish. Holy shit.
I think it is a risk for Abdul al-Sayed to have him come into the state. It's an obvious risk, but he is grasping for votes in a crowded three-way primary in a state.
Oh, he's saying he's got desperate, so he's calling in his backup, which is the young guys, hoping that they're going to vote for him. This guy doesn't know what Michigan looks like right now. He has no idea what's happening on the ground. You know who's been to Michigan and been on the ground recently? Hasan. You know who he talked to? The fucking people. You know who this guy didn't talk to on the ground in Michigan? The people. Bro doesn't know what he's talking about.
Michigan, which you remember from 2024, both in the primary, the Democratic primary and the general election, has a lot of Arab and Muslim voters outside of Detroit and Dearborn.
Well, now he's just going to go with the fucking, he's like, yeah, he's Turkish and yeah, you know, he's Muslim, so.
In Dearborn Heights,
you know what I mean?
Democrats have been suffering there, and I think he's trying to grab onto them. He's doing rallies at Michigan State, so he's trying to go after young people. But one thing I do want to point out, Jake, that you said in the intro, he's
trying to go
that he's
after.
not a household name. The Speaking with American Men project, which was launched to study young men by Democrats.
The Speaking American Men project.
After 2024 pulled Hasan Piker's name among young men. He's not well known at all. About half of young people don't know who he is. And then his favorable rating, he's negative 9%. He's underwater with faves. Only 20% of young men have a favorable opinion of Hasan Piker, and that's
only 20%? That's a huge number. What do you mean? That's massive. What?
Sort of why I say, is it worth the gamble to do this?
Interesting. And Joni, in that Wall Street Journal op-ed that I talked about, the think tank Third Way, they wrote, "We're all for a big tent, but the Democratic Party needs to draw a line in the sand. Hasan Piker and his fellow Jew haters belong on the other side." Donny O'Sullivan, Piker to
okay, let's get this straight right now. None of us are Jew haters, okay? These are slanders and lies, okay? You can't make the distinction between a Zionist and a Jew. You have no reason to open your fucking mouth, okay?
Respond to critics who call him anti-Semitic. He quoted a few things that Piker had said, especially a Zionist dog or Zionist pig, or I think the actual quote was Zionist pig dog, whatever that means.
Where's that quote? Can you show the quote, Jake? You shouldn't be saying, I think it was. Man, this is fucked up. Spend some minutes figuring out who this guy is, Jake.
Here is Piker's response.
Huh?
I've spent my entire professional media career and far beyond that combating anti-Semitism. I've been doxxed, swatted by neo-Nazis for my consistent advocacy against anti-Semitism. I just also happen to be an avowed anti-Zionist. I believe Zionism is a very racist ideology. It's an ethno-religious supremacist ideology. And it's the underpinning ideology that has caused the genocide of Palestinians in the hands of Israel and also the United States of America.
Why is that hard to fucking understand, you guys?
There's a lot to unpack there. What's your response?
Really?
Yeah. I mean, what Piker does that a lot of people of his ilk do is they try to inoculate themselves against claims.
They try to I'm inoculating myself. Okay. Yeah. Wow, this is such fucking drivel bullshit. They couldn't do better than this.
Of Jew hatred by pointing it out in places that aren't them. He's been very clear pointing things out on the right. Oh, that's anti-Semitism. These are the tropes they use. And then he'll use the exact same tropes and just sub Jew for Israel, which is the place where all Jews collectively have a connection to.
He's not subbing anything. What do you mean? He doesn't sub shit. What? You're pathetic, dude.
Exact same tropes and just sub Jew for Israel, which
being Jewish with Jonah Platt. Jonah, you're a fucking Jew. What are you talking about? You know the difference between being a Zionist and a Jew. You know that being a Jew does not mean being a Zionist or pro-Zionism. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Only 37% of American Jews explicitly label themselves as Zionists. In other words, they're not fucking Zionists if they're not explicitly labeling themselves as that, because they know what it means. Younger Jewish Americans tend to be less attached to Israel than older counterparts, with 12% of those under 25 identifying as anti-Zionist. Yes, and this is what they're afraid of. And that's why Hasan has an audience, and I have an audience of anti-Zionists. Because if any of them are here, like, and why do you think the left would have the anti-Zionists in it? Because they're not the goddamn fucking fascists. This guy is enabling fascism. By calling Hasan out and saying he is anti-Semitic and enabling that line of thinking, he is actually causing more anti-Semitism. He's not calling out the right thing. He's not calling out the right person for anti-Semitism. What are you fucking...
is the place where all Jews collectively have a connection to.
Okay.
And is the homeland where...
No, 70% of them say that, okay? That's fine. Not all, though. Okay, don't say all.
More than 50% of Jews on planet Earth live. So it's not... He would never say Jews could...
50% of Jews and... Really? What percent of Jews Maybe he's right about this one. This is not something I know. Okay, 46%. Okay, he's a little bit off. The global Jewish population is estimated at 15.5 million, and currently 7 million of them live in Israel. Okay.
Control the media, but Israel controls the media. And, the Jews didn't pull us into the war with Iran.
And again, he's talking about Jews, not Zionists. You see? Now he's doing the conflation. Right? He's leading the narrative now, which is the lie. This is how they do it, folks.
Iran and control the American government, but Israel does. And so he's able to sort of get away with some of this stuff in these subtle ways when really his impact is just as harmful as any out-and-out anti-Semite. Just
how?
He's got a different name and he comes from a different wing of politics.
It's interesting. Politico asked a bunch of Democratic politicians running for president or who might run for president if they would ever do his podcast. And the only two Jews thinking about possibly running for president, Rahm Emanuel and Josh Shapiro, both suggested that they might be willing to.
I think this gets to something important.
What the fuck? They asked them about him too? They literally just paid a hit piece. They're like, hey, we got to get a hit piece done on this guy. And they just called. That's the research they did. Jake Tapper giving away his tap and lead.
Important with this debate in Michigan. It's different.
This is the lead. Like, sorry, can you do a better job of taking down my boy Hasan, please?
To go onto his podcast and joust over ideas. I think seeing Josh Shapiro and Hasan Piker on his Twitch stream would be fascinating.
Okay, then fucking watch it. And you're going to be like, this guy's not anti-Semitic. Oops. Yeah. I dare you to watch him.
I think Josh Shapiro is smart and they would have a spirited debate.
And Josh Shapiro would say, yeah, this guy's not anti-Semitic. You guys are stupid. Because if Josh Shapiro goes and talks to Hasan Piker, he will come away with that. No matter how much of a Zionist he is.
As they say in politics.
Seriously.
The difference is going out to campaign with somebody and the candidate, it's implicitly endorsing his views or suggesting, why don't you come to Michigan and campaign with me? That's the difference. I think candidates should be able to go on to podcasts with people who disagree with them. But yeah, I mean, the politics of Israel heading into 2028 are going to be fascinating. You're already seeing tons of Democrats kind of come out against AIPAC, but also defending Israel. Gavin Newsom obviously had to walk back, calling Israel an apartheid state. The other thing that's a factor here, the more Democrats engage with influencers heading into 2028, they're going to have to confront some views, things they might have said in the past.
Quick one-sentence final thoughts on this. You worried about the direction of the Democratic Party?
I'm worried. I agree that they should be able to debate, but they have to come in clear-eyed and know that they're there to debate and put.
I forgot to hit the cash register every time they hit the $7,500 from AIPAC money. Thanks for the reminder.
Push back on these bad ideas, not to get it chummy and have a fun conversation.
Thanks so much for being here. Great. What a great time to be in LA to have you both in studio. Really amazing.
Thanks, Jay.
The U.S.
Oh, he's very pleased with his takedown. He thinks he's got something.
Our politics lead now. Now, HASAN Piker might not be a household.
Impressive.
Video in Memphis. It's at a round table. The Memphis Safe Task Force Roundtable in Memphis, Tennessee. And there seems to be some type of fetishistic game that is being played here. Who can metaphorically fillet Donald Trump more? That seems to be the name of the game. Now, Pete Hegseth is there in Memphis, talking about local policing in Memphis, because, of course, you'd want your Secretary of War or Secretary of Defense. It's not like we're engaged in a war that could potentially blow up the entire world economy. I save that for the later afternoon. During the day, I like to go to Memphis. They have all sorts of whiskeys there, so I'll check that out. Exactly.
Well, the Mississippi's there too. That's a big trading river.
Here's Stephen Miller, and Brian has cracked the code here. If you replace Donald Trump with the word Stephen Miller, all of this makes sense. But he's able to shower Donald Trump in this way by just substituting his name.
The work that President Trump is doing, not only in Memphis, not only in Washington, D.C., but all over the country, ultimately, it will save and is saving tens of thousands of American lives. It is, I'll use that word again, what President Trump has done on border security and public safety is a national miracle that will be studied not only for generations, but for centuries to come.
Oh, it'll be studied, all right.
Centuries.
So, Cash, see if you can top that. I don't know. That's a tough one, Cash.
That is tough. You know, Mr. President, as I look around this venue, I see, and I'm reminded again, why we have the greatest warriors on God's green earth, the men and women serving in uniform, the men and women serving and wearing the badge, and law enforcement, our police, our sheriffs around the state of Tennessee. I'm reminded that Americans exist to protect this country day in and day out, and they've done it like we've done it here. But what we didn't have was you. We didn't have a commander-in-chief who backed the blue, who resourced the blue, who funded the military, who did whatever it takes to safeguard every single life. And here in Memphis, Tennessee, you have put on a show for the world. You have allowed us to go out there and capture gangbangers, rapists, murderers, drug dealers at record historic levels. And for me, a first-generation Indian-American kid whose parents fled a genocide in East Africa to become the 9th director of the FBI, I'm living the wildest dream you could possibly imagine, sir. But it's thanks to you. But more importantly, what I see when I look out across our great partners here in the interagency and our great legislatures and our great prosecutors and our great attorney general who has the guts to go out there and make arrests, turn them into prosecutions, and put people in prison, you are giving that dream to every single child in the state of Tennessee. You are inspiring the nation and law enforcement to come up and wear the badge and wear the colors of this country and safeguard our men and women for generations to come. This is an enduring mission, Mr. President, because you have made it enduring. It is going to go on for generations to come. They're going to try to achieve what you accomplished here, what Stephen said in just one short year, and they're going to be doing it for decades because America was smart enough to elect you as our commander-in-chief. So while we're out there fighting for the dreams of our children, just know, Mr. President, how many millions of dreams like mine are going to be lived thanks to your brilliant leadership. Mr. President, thanks for delivering America the safest country on God's green earth.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Incidentally, I should explain, we did not add that cavernous echo quality to the voices. That's what it sounds like when you stick your head up the rectum of the president of the United States and yodel.
You're an aircraft carrier.
Not just for decades, for centuries, they're going to study. I'd be curious, just out of curiosity, do we have you know how we've had for years since COVID, extra deaths at the end of the year that, what do they call it? Excess mortality rate? Do we have what's the opposite of excess mortality rate? Do we have an are we having less mortality than we could have imagined?
That's 20,000 people who won't be killed by an immigrant.
Yes.
Put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
Here is just a brief moment of
That's right. Put it on the board.
Of actual honesty
Number one
from
president.
Stephen Miller. He is a miserable little man. And here he is with a moment of actual honesty where he's listening to Donald Trump talk about Iran and how that may ruin everything for him.
Good old
Patel.
Iran's missile capabilities were also growing so fast that it would soon have become virtually impossible to stop them. Once they have a missile, once they have what they were building.
Oh, shit.
If only somebody could build me a better puppet.
It's that 4 o'clock feeling.
Yeah. This guy.
It's gonna be the death of me.
Or I wonder if that's just like, I wonder if he's actually responding to what Trump is saying, or if he just has some type of like internal pain.
He's just thinking about a single like brown person having a happy life.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, have it.
Punch Drunk Pulpit makes a good point on the IM. Apropos of nothing, it would be nice change of pace if Matt and Brian took a few minutes each to express their gratitude and admiration for him.
Nope.
Before I met Sam, I couldn't even walk. And then, because of you, sir, I'm not just walking, I'm running from this studio to get out of here early. So I will see you later.
That's not, no.
Well, this show endures because, I can't.
You can't even say it without like getting sick. Matt is constitutionally.
I can't do that.
You can't even do it.
Matt's like, I can't do it. I can't fillet metaphorically.
And I get the sense that Brian's was a little
Not
bit
in the job
disingenuous.
description.
But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Okay.
I might be out there with Kristi Noem.
Yeah. Nice advertisement you cut for yourself, Brian. He has to leave. Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's check in with Dan Bongino. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
I got to find
and
that
diplomacy is once again trying to gain some momentum in the Middle East. Just a short time ago, President Trump posting in part on Truth Social, great progress has been made, but if for any reason a deal is not shortly reached, which it probably will be, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business, We will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island. And last night, President Trump told reporters on Air Force One about the regime making a new gesture out of a sign of respect.
As you know, they've agreed to send 8 boats 2 days ago, and then they added another 2, so it was 10 boats, but they gave us, I think, out of a sign of respect.
Gotta hold on to this wall.
Of oil, big boats of oil.
Don't let go of the wall.
Hormuz Strait, and that's taking place.
Make sure you say hello.
And Matt Finn is live in Dubai with an update. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Dana. President Trump says the United States recently struck some highly sought-after military targets in Iran, and the president says negotiations with the powers that be in Iran are coming along.
So we've had very good negotiations today with Iran, getting a lot of the things that they should have given us a long time ago. We'll see how it works out, but they're very good, moving along very nicely. They've destroyed a lot of additional targets today. The Navy's gone, the Air Force has gone.
The Washington Post reports the U.S. is preparing for possible weeks of ground operations in Iran as the U.S. Tripoli and thousands
Air
of
Force
American
was gone
soldiers
days ago,
arrive
but
here
now
to
it's
the Middle
gone
East.
again.
However, the Trump
That's
administration has not said for certain that American soldiers will go on Iranian soil.
What's that? Don't worry about the details, folks. That's right. Oh, I said that the Air Force was gone yesterday. Well, they're really gone. They're gone now. There's a difference between gone and gone. Okay. Don't mess with me.
Rather, the administration has been indicating that Operation Epic Fury may be winding down soon. And the UAE says Iran has now launched more than 1,900 drones into this country since the war began. Just 27 drone attacks in the past day. Last night, our crew heard the loud explosions in the sky here and apparently no signs of incoming attacks from Iran. Dana?
All right, Matt Finn, thank you so much. Let's get over to Bill Howard.
All right, Dana, let's go ahead and update what we know from the last 24 hours or so of this war in Iran. First of all, we'll take the reported strikes on behalf of the U.S. and Israelis. What I note here, Dana, is the amount of activity around the capital city of Tehran. You see the inset here? Oh. That's at least 17 different strikes that have either been confirmed, reported, or footage, videotape that accompanies a strike in Tehran. Okay. The other thing you notice, we're talking a lot about the Strait of Hormuz and the town of Bandar Abbas. I don't see any hits on that town itself, but what I do see are 2 right around this area, the Persian Gulf, up near the border with Iraq, and that would be significant because that is Karg Island, as we mentioned a short time ago. Meanwhile, the Iranians, they have a vote in this war as well. They're striking back on Israel, striking back at Gulf nations, here in UAE, here in Bahrain as well. Reports of a hit there in Kuwait. This is the inset northern Israel. A lot of that is on behalf of Hezbollah from the north and Lebanon. But don't discount the fact that the Iranians have launched numerous missiles over the weekend and a few drones as well directed toward Israel proper, and some of them have hit there. CENTCOM, Americans now. CENTCOM tells us 11,000 targets struck, 11,000 combat flights. That's a lot of activity in a couple of weeks' time, and the Navy is pretty much 90% taken out of commission. This is what the U.S. Navy, the assets that we have in the area, this map has not changed a lot for about a month. This entire area has been outfitted with the U.S. Navy and the best of the firepower that the U.S. military has to provide. And speaking of the military, we got a guy right here with us right now, Dana, right?
Yes.
Take us through it.
General Jack Keane, thank you for being here.
Yeah, delighted to be
here.
here.
Oh, my God.
So Marco Rubio was on ABC a short time ago. He's talking about Iran. Well, let's go ahead and cue that up.
Hey,
we'll
this
play
guy.
what he said just a short time ago.
He's in studio.
We always prefer to settle things through negotiation and diplomacy, but we also have to be prepared for the fact that that effort might fail, that we are dealing with a 47-year-old regime that still has a lot of people involved in it who aren't necessarily big fans of diplomacy or peace.
So now, what do you take from that and the president's truth from earlier today about on again, off again talks, and how do we see through this, General?
Well, I think we're pursuing 2 objectives here, obviously. One, the military objective to take everything offensive away that Iran has, to include nuclear capability, and reopen the Straits of Hormuz. And then the other one is a diplomatic effort. Knowing the Iranians, they would have to surrender everything that we would take away from them in those negotiations. I think they're unlikely to do that.
What?
Why? Because we have a 47-year history.
We're not taking anything
with
away
them.
from them.
And even if they did, I mean, verification, these guys lie and cheat, would be extraordinary. And I think you likely guarantee the regime's going to stay in place as a result of it. Why? Because they would ask for
He seems really
sanction
disappointed.
relief. That means they're going to get money. I prefer to pursue the military option for obvious reasons, because it truly weakens the regime. And some of the things we can do to them at the end could actually force an economic collapse of that regime. And that would put them in pretty sad
It's definitely Delulu.
shape. But listen, we're 30 days into this. We're tracking a war by the minute, 24/7. So it seems much longer than what it really is. At the outset, the operation would probably be wrapped up in less than 60 days. If we're able to take Iran's capability away from
60
attacking
days.
Israel, our Arab states, and using their proxies as well,
He's saying we got 30 more days of this?
and potentially attacking the United States, and do that in less than 60 days, that is a remarkable achievement and has always been an acceptable goal that makes sense, given their 47-year history of attacking us and given the fact that so many other presidents chose not to confront them. Admittedly, the capability that Iran has today is much greater than what those other presidents were facing, closer to a nuclear weapon, advancing in ballistic missiles in their sophistication, in their lethality, and in their range. And we've seen that demonstrated here with the ability to reach Europe, with the goal to reach the United States. So halfway through, probably, maybe more than that in terms of capabilities and what we destroyed, far more than halfway through.
And in fact, last night when the president spoke to the Financial Times, he did something that I hadn't seen before, which is give us a denominator, because he said we have destroyed 13,000 of their ballistic missile capabilities, and he said there are about 3,000 left to go. Does that sound like in the ballpark for you?
Well, I think, the overwhelming majority is what we've destroyed. And, I think the football analogy works well here. We're on a 20-yard line. We're trying to score a goal of victory here. And that last 20 yards is hard. What are the Iranians doing? They are trying to protect and preserve as much of their capability as they can so that they can continue. One, they stay in power, and two, they have the capability to retaliate after termination so that they can demonstrate that they still have the capability. They won the war. That's how they would describe it. So the last 20 yards here is going to be harder than the first 80, for sure. And that's why it may take a little longer to finish that off in terms of the third of what you're describing still remains.
In the past 24 hours, the discussions have been troops on the ground in Iran, and I want to get your viewpoint on that, and also what Zelensky is referring to with the Russians and perhaps the Chinese as well, giving satellite assistance to the Iranians so that they can target whether it's Israel or our Gulf neighbors in the region or American forces operating in bases there.
Yeah, sure. Well, on the troops on the ground. Well, first of all, so our audience understands, we are not talking about an invasion force here. We're talking about thousands of troops that would be used for a specific mission, and it would be time sensitive. We're not looking for some kind of prolonged campaign with our troops like we are with our air power. This would be something that would be temporary, specific, with a specific goal in mind. And the president has options to do it that way or to do it with air power. So I think the troops are being brought into the region so that he has the options to play that hand if he wants to. He may not. He may just play some of it. He may play all of it. And that's why they're there. In terms of it, let's understand something. Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea collectively present the greatest threat we have seen since World War II to the United States' national interests. The fact that they are working and colluding together should not surprise anybody here. It is in their interest.
Actually, the biggest threat to America is right here in America, and it's Trump and his ilk. I disagree. Iran has no... What? This guy's full of shit.
For the United States to get itself wrapped up into something that people describe as a quagmire. They get wrapped up in something that's
Israel
really
is paying
challenging
this
for
guy.
us. That's not going to happen.
The
But they want to
Zionists
do
are paying
everything
this
they
guy.
can to assist
I don't think
in
they
that
like me
happening.
very much.
And certainly they're helping out the Iranians rather significantly here. And the Russians are providing them with regular intelligence on a consistent basis. Listen, we have an intelligence cell that operates on behalf of Ukraine, and we give them exquisite intelligence every day. Russians have a similar capability that we have, and you can be assured they're giving it to the Iranians.
Thank you for being here. Mondays seem to be big news days of late, and we appreciate you being here. And I know the Yankees home opener is coming soon as well.
Friday.
There.
We will definitely be there.
General, thank you very much.
Yeah,
30 days in and more to come. That's what I take from our conversation here.
You
Jack
betcha.
Keane, thanks.
Thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.
No justice, no peace. No ice in our streets. Arrest them all. Parade of shame. Arrest them all. Parade of shame.
The U.S. will never be free until the stewardship of this land is returned to its indigenous peoples.
Peggy Flanagan, Indigenous Kaz, Gijuwebada McCoy Indigo, Guabagag and Cogden Dunjaba, Mayango Nodame.
Stop funding private
That's cool.
prisons. We're not gonna take it anymore.
Millions.
So is it activism or entitlement? Our next guest says anyone participating in the nationwide No Kings protest isn't
What the fuck? 8 million people you're going to say are going to be what?
accomplishing anything except maybe feeling validated, perhaps. Let's bring in psychotherapist and author of Therapy Nation, Jonathan Alpert. Jonathan, it's great to have you on the couch.
Great to be here, Griff.
So, you know, what we saw yesterday across the country, you say that this is essentially bad group therapy. Explain.
It really does look a lot like bad group therapy. We have people on the streets across America. They're venting. They're getting validation from their fellow rally goers. So it all feels very good in the moment. It's a big emotional release, but I feel like maybe we set a record for the biggest group therapy ever.
Huh? Yeah. And by the way, these are all Democrats. They're all left.
Oh,
and
she's
we
laughing.
don't see this on the right. Is there a reason why the left is more distressed than the right?
Well, maybe they have
we
more to
don't
be
see this on the
distressed
right.
about these days, and I think largely, you know, they're just not happy with Trump winning. We have grievance culture run wild.
Grievance
The left,
culture.
for the most part, loves to hate, and whether it's a CEO of a healthcare company or billionaires or a politician.
Oh yeah, we love to hate. That's why we are for the people and not for the billionaires. Yeah, you're a fucking idiot, dude. Shut up.
And the culture is grievance culture.
So, you know, there's so much to laugh at here, and I'm chief among
go
us
ahead
for
and
laughing
laugh,
at
sir.
all of them. But is there something a little bit more serious underlying all of this that we
Yes,
should
there
be
is.
actually concerned about?
Well, we should be. And if people are so hyper-focused on a political figure and they're not able to enjoy life, as a mental health professional, that's a huge problem that I
Fuck
see.
you.
I've had people over the years who
You're
couldn't
disingenuous
enjoy
as
their
fuck,
vacation because they were so fixated on Donald Trump. They just said to me, how can I possibly go on vacation knowing that he's in office? So we really should be concerned about this.
That's not true.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not true. What the fuck, bro?
And you're seeing that they want to infiltrate politics into everything, whether it's a sporting event or in this classroom or whatever.
Or their marriage.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you, if you had a liberal in front of you who went to this event, who was singing these songs and left that protest not feeling so great, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, they're certainly entitled to attend these rallies.
Of course.
And, you know, that's their right. But if they go home and they try to convert their significant other to see the world the way that they do, that might be problematic. And I don't know how that marriage could ever survive. And
What the fuck are they projecting here? They're like, yeah, we can't really have this in marriages anymore. We can't You know, if there's a liberal in the household and, you know, a conservative, we can't have the liberal convincing the conservative. But the other way around's fine.
I really do think and hope that we can get back to the point where liberals and Republicans can coexist and enjoy a dinner together.
How much of what you're seeing on the left has to do with replacing, like, you know, liberalism also goes hand in hand with a lot of secularism and sort of, so could they be replacing that spiritual, religious part with politics? And so then it ends up not being very satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. In some ways, politics has become the new religion.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And so, you know,
No. You know, sit around and talk about politics like you know what you're talking about, like you know what politics is about. That's what they're doing. You know, politics really isn't it in everything. We sit around and talk about it all the time, but no one cares. We're talking about no one caring about politics while we care about politics. It's normal here on Fox News, folks.
Just a few days ago, this past week, when President Trump had the Japanese Prime Minister at the White House, Sane Takaichi, he made a joke about Pearl Harbor, and everyone on the left, in the left media, and left politicians lost their minds. It was clearly a joke. Like, are we at the point now where people are suffering so bad from TDS, like they can't even get a joke?
Well, I also thought it was funny, but a lot of people didn't think it was funny. You know, they're just so fixated looking for things that Trump can do wrong, and I've long said that Trump could cure cancer, and people would find a problem with that.
Right. He said that, actually.
Exactly. Jonathan, come back and see us, because I think we're going to need more therapy.
Yeah, I love this segment.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
The fuck was that report?
Fox News Alert Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the war in Iran could be over in a matter of weeks, not months.
Weeks.
We have objectives. I've told you what those objectives are, and we are very confident that we are on the verge of achieving them very, very soon.
Carney Laville,
Rubio told
France.
G7 allies that this could be wrapped up in 2 to 4 weeks, as the Pentagon's currently considering sending 10,000 more ground troops into the Middle East. And the clock continues to tick for the mullahs. The president says the Iranians are on their knees.
Iran! What's the latest with Iran, sir?
On Iran, they are being decimated. They are talking. We are talking now. They want to make a deal. Very simply, our military is the greatest in the world by far. Iran is being decimated.
It's only going to get worse. Our kamikaze speedboats have just entered the war zone for the first time in the history of combat. These robo-skippers, also known as GARCs, are like remote-controlled jet skis that explode on impact. They're cheaper to make than missiles and have already logged over 2,000 miles in epic fury. And they're targeting Tehran's fleet of high-speed attack boats. The Strait of Hormuz is becoming a testing ground for next-generation warfare. The USS Abraham Lincoln was also pictured just outside of the strait in the Arabian Sea. The warship's nearly the size of the Empire State Building, and it's untouchable.
A very valuable thing that we had floating on the water, namely an aircraft carrier, biggest in the world. And they were shot, 101, going 2,500 miles an hour. And out of the 101 missiles shot, 101 missiles were shot down.
The USS Tripoli is almost in position, and on board, the Marines. New photos show the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit conducting a live-fire deck shoot from the ship, preparing for action. Joining our F-35s in the air, the F-15 Strike Eagles, designed for high-speed, long-range, and deep targets, both in the air and on the ground. New video shows U.S. forces continuing to decimate key military infrastructure deep inside of Iran. In 4 weeks, 10,000 military targets have been hit, and we fired over 850 Tomahawks. 2/3 of Iran's missiles have been destroyed or buried under rubble. Trump says the target list is shrinking.
We're just floating over the top looking for whatever we want, and we're hitting it, and we have another 3,000 554 targets left, and that'll be done pretty quickly.
As we go into the final stage of the war, hopefully, the campaign's been more focused on strategic targeting. We're settling in at a sustainable pace of bombing between 300 and 500 targets a day. We're also using shorter-range munitions that are far less expensive. Meanwhile, the Israelis had a
Don't
big
worry, guys.
24
We're saving
hours.
money.
After taking out the Guard's Navy commander, the IDF just struck gold. Iran's main hub for missile and mine production. The IDF says the facility was also used for planning maritime attacks and warehousing anti-ship and submarine missiles. The Israelis also carried out attacks on two of Iran's largest steel plants. That should set the regime back significantly. And then to top it off, they hit their nuclear program, including a heavy water reactor site in the center of the country and a yellowcake plant. Our Gulf allies want more. They're telling the White House that ending the war prematurely would be a colossal mistake. They want Iran's missile capabilities completely eliminated and their ability to project power neutered.
Okay.
Two key Iranian nuclear
nice
sites
that they want
still
that. Doesn't mean they're
going to
get it.
Stockpiles of uranium and fissile material remain deep underground in the mountains. And there are rumors that Iran's hiding its most advanced missile in its arsenal, a maneuverable 1,000-pound warhead with an optically guided terminal seeker. The Iranians still haven't used it in the war. Is it defective? Are they conserving it? We don't know. It's a mystery. Not fully disarming Iran would be considered reckless. That's according to the Secretary of State.
They've used the wealth of that country to sponsor terrorism, build rockets, build drones, build missiles, build sea mines. That's what they've done with it. When we are done with them here in the next couple of weeks, they will be weaker than they've been in recent history, and they will not be able to hide behind those weapons to break out and get a nuclear weapon.
He's lying. He's lying.
They hit embassies, they target hotels, they try to kill civilians,
100%.
they splash out at all their neighbors. Imagine if these radical lunatics had a nuclear weapon to threaten the world with.
Our terms for a deal are clear. No nuke, uranium, or terrorism, and serious limitations put on the missiles. The regime's not going down without a fight. An Iranian missile and drone just got through Saudi air defenses and hit the Prince Sultan Air Base. Several Americans are injured, and an air tanker was struck.
Wow.
We're still negotiating, but no one's heard from the gay cardboard Ayatollah. The people we're negotiating with are still waiting for him to count.
Ayatollah.
Also, everyone's underground with no phones. So how do they communicate? No idea. But that's why peace talks could drag. Behind the scenes, Iranian hardliners have been telling their scientists to fast-track a nuke. This is just according to reports. The Guard's consolidated power over the clerics. The country's been reduced to a rump state military dictatorship. The Guard operating like a cartel, skimming off the top of sanctioned oil trades, financing kickback schemes from proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, the Houthis. Retired four-star General Jack Keane says this is why a deal's a long shot.
Listen, anybody close to this knows who the Iranians are. None of us think that these negotiations will materialize. We're asking Iran to give up, to surrender everything that we're willing to take away from them, everything. And if they don't do that, no deal.
The United States still says progress is being made. Vance could be taking the lead on negotiations, but a senior administration
surrender
official
everything
tells
we're
Axios,
willing to
quote,
take.
If the Iranians can't strike a deal with Vance, they don't get a deal. He's the best they're going to get. They're not negotiating with Kerry and Obama.
Barack Hussein Obama, did you ever hear of him? Barack Hussein Obama, he had the Iran nuclear deal. He went to Iran. He paid him. Remember, he sent two Boeing 757 jetliners. They took the seats out and they piled it with cash, like 1.7 billion of cash. They sent the cash to Iran, but more importantly, they signed an agreement, the Iran nuclear deal. If I didn't terminate it, they would have had a nuclear weapon.
The Iranians say they're ready for a long war, but they have to say that because the mullahs,
what are they even saying?
They're firing missiles at themselves. And their friends are useless.
Let me put it to you this way. There is nothing Russia is doing for Iran that is in any way impeding or affecting our operation or the effectiveness of it.
The Chinese probably aren't happy with Iran either. Tehran just turned 2 Chinese ships away from the strait, and Beijing might not have its way with the strait for long.
They have to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Excuse me for this. I'm so sorry. Such a terrible mistake. The fake news will say he accidentally said, no, there's no accidents with me.
It's not a matter of if the strait gets open, it's a matter of when. And the rest of the world needs it more than we do. Rubio's telling our allies, step it up.
They want to set up a tolling system in the Straits of Hormuz. Not only is this illegal, it's unacceptable, it's dangerous to the world. And it's important that the world have a plan to confront it. The United States is prepared to be a part of that plan. We don't have to lead that plan, but we're happy to be a part of it. But these countries have a lot at stake. Not just the G7 countries, but countries in Asia and all over the world have a lot at stake and should contribute greatly to that effort to ensure that neither the Straits of Hormuz or, frankly, any international waterways should ever be something that's controlled or tolled by a nation state.
We want the strait open, and the allies are getting in gear. The president's promising a swift end to the war, and he remains confident our objectives are being met.
Tonight, we're closer than ever to the rise of the Middle East that is finally free at last from Iranian terror, aggression, and nuclear blackmail. That's what's happened. It was nuclear blackmail for years and years.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
Fuck. Hop in my playlist. Hello? There we go.
All right, y'all. So Joe Rogan is getting more and more desperate and more panicked by the day. He's seemingly recognizing that when he was wave riding and vibe mongering and hopping on the Trump train in 2024, he thought that those good times would last forever. Well, it turns out you elected a fascist, imperialist psychopath, and now everything is being obliterated in real time right in front of your eyes. And so now Rogan is trying to save his popularity and desperately distance himself from MAGA. So he had on Dave Smith, which in and of itself is a choice, right? Like now I think his strategy, Rogan's strategy, went from like ride hard for Trump, then like, okay, ride maybe not as hard for Trump. And now it's evolved to, okay, maybe I won't be the one to directly go after Trump and call Trump out by name and talk about all the ways he's failing and doing horrible things, but I'll have other people on my show who can do it. Right? And then I'll sit there and I'll engage in the conversation, but I'll let them take the reins and really steer the ship and criticize Trump. And so he has on Dave Smith, who's been going after Trump aggressively for the illegal war against Iran. And
So that's what you thought was going to happen? Soulless? You mean he was going to be the dumbest, the one that was dumb enough to fucking
this moment from Joe, which is the...
Because, like, I don't see how they put the toothpaste back in with Iran, do you? I mean, that's kind of what you're saying.
Harshest he's gone since he gave Trump a hot stone massage and a happy ending and officially endorsed him and giggled about how he talks to him on the phone and texts with him and shit like that. Listen to this. Here we go.
Well, if that's like, I don't know, like my position is always like, if you're saying, if.
Okay. Like we could have predicted this shit.
Not supporting covering up the Epstein files or not supporting a stupid war of choice, a war of aggression on behalf of Israel means I'm not MAGA, then okay, I'm not MAGA. I'm not attached to the phrase "Make America Great Again." I don't care. Then
but
fine.
If that phrase sucks. Here's the thing.
That
like,
phrase
first of all,
sucks.
America is great. Make America greater. I'm down.
Why is he deciding now that it sucks? Like all the other times he didn't hear what it meant? He didn't hear what it said? Chat? The fuck? No, I know, like, I kind of read your irony in what you said, Chatter. They are going too far. I agree. It's fucking crazy. I said, I think at the beginning of my stream that this was going to be pretty bad for relative to like the Afghanistan thing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't fuck with the Iranians. Like, you just don't. Why? You don't need the oil. We got enough. Like, we're literally going to go down in history as like supporting the fucking genocidal regime of Israel.
But make America great again, and then it becomes a movement of a bunch of fucking dorks, because a lot of them are dorks. A lot of them, these really weird.
Bro, he is talking about himself. Bro, he's talking about himself. Like, what the fuck? He's the dork. I'm not the dork. Definitely not the MAGA. I know, right? Thanks for being a solar supporter, considering that's the business I'm in. Appreciate you.
Weird, fucking uninteresting, unintelligent people that have got something they cling to, and there's a lot of people that are just real, genuine patriots, and they're all.
He put negative 50% nuke on solar, though. Literally.
Lumped into this one group, and you got to accept the dorks too. Fuck.
Like
that.
Yeah. Now, what I need all you.
Like, is he. Wait. Is that real? Is he like self-reflecting at the same time as projecting him liking MAGA onto MAGA by saying he's not MAGA? What the fuck kind of psychological bullshit is going on in his head? What the fuck, chat? What the fuck?
You guys to understand is the same.
Like. No, you're right. Right now, though, it's fucking down 50%. Not gonna lie. Sales are down 50% because he took away the 30% tax credit that used to come for it. So that's what I'm saying. Trump has, given us negative 50% card on a fucking. We pulled the card. My business is suffering right now. Luckily, there's a lot of fucking infrastructure in that needs to be taken care of, so that's working out all right. But the fuck. Like, there's no reason to be nuking solar right now. We're so far behind China. No, it's not good. We've got layoffs in the sales. It's bad.
Mental process that got him to support Trump is.
In the meantime, we can also get cheap ass solar panels that are fucking great from China if we didn't have tariffs too, and we could be gangbustering that shit up. Practically giving this shit away. Panels used to cost like so much, like 5x what they cost now. Most of the cost of solar is now just labor. It used to be panels.
The exact same mental process that's leading to him abandoning Trump. This guy is the ultimate
move.
vibe monger and wave rider. And so when the waves for Trump were.
That's what I just said. He's giving him props, right? By saying he's a vibe monger and wave rider. And yes, that's what makes Joe Rogan good at what he does, right? He vibe monged and wave rode his way to the MAGA, and now he's trying to vibe mong and wave ride, whatever, back to us, back to the left, or back to the center, probably. Okay? And you know what? No, you're still a dork, Joe Rogan. You're still a fucking dork in my book. No one cares about what I think, but...
Tsunamis, he was like, I'm in that bitch, right? Now, the least popular, least cool thing you could do at this moment is simp for Trump and support Trump. And so now he's
bong hits for
U-turning
Jesus.
out that bitch. But what you'll find is, and this is the case with a lot of these people, the best they will ever do is both sides bullshit.
Yes, praise the Lord. We get to see the end of the world end times in our lifetime. I'm so happy that the Israeli project of the neoconservative Israeli project that I saw coming in, when I was younger is now actually happening in front of my face. It's playing out. Like, I do feel like the only solution is for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Are we attacking North Korea? Nope. Tell me the last country we attacked that had a nuclear weapon.
False equivalence bullshit. The most you'll get from them is like, well, both sides, bro, are kind of like bad in their own way. You know what I'm saying? And so even given this, it's fucking chicken shit. The other thing is, you'll never get a mea culpa. You'll never get a mea culpa.
No.
Now, among some, you got at least like a semi-mea culpa. Dave Smith's out here. He did basically a semi-mea culpa. He even went as far as to admit the correct thing, which is that Kamala would have been better than this. But I don't think people can move on, right, and sort of take you seriously unless there's a legit, genuine mea culpa. Sagar and Jetty had to do it on Breaking Points. Like I said, Dave Smith did a version of it as well. Certainly, Andrew Schultz is going much harder in the paint against Trump now, although he didn't do a full mea culpa and didn't say that Kamala would have been better. Tim Dillon, there's been no apology whatsoever, but there has.
I mean, I guess for fucking MAGA, saying Kamala would have been better is kind of like coming to the center, right? But for me, that's like, fuck off.
Has been I'm just gonna I'm gonna focus now on shitting on Trump because he's against this Iran war. But I don't think anybody can take you seriously unless and until there's a full mea culpa.
Some would say they're the best chatter, but they haven't been here long enough. We don't know yet.
Hey, Kamala was better. And then the other thing is, the last thing I want to fucking hear, and I've seen this so many times, is people like.
I mean, there's theories. People like me sit around and smoke weed and think, hey, when people went and saw God, they were probably smoking DMT, you know what I mean? From a bush. The burning bush is considered a DMT bush. There's rumors about that. I've seen that. I mean, I think weed originated in Afghanistan, so.
Nico said this about Tucker, like, credit to Tucker Carlson. He's always been so principled and so right and so just
Jesus
in his
was a
fight
Buddha.
against this, with the thing Trump is doing. Meanwhile, Tucker is still, tongue-bathing Donald Trump's balls. He's refusing to criticize Trump by name. Yes, he's a critic of the Iran war, but he does this whole
famously, he went to Tibet when Brad Pitt was there. Right. Chat. Yeah, basically Batman.
Gosh golly, but I love Trump. I sure love Trump. I mean, you can never get me to not like Trump. Whereas in the next breath, he's like, this Iran war's criminal and wrong and bad.
Damn it.
So
there is historical evidence that they had hemp, though. I.e., someone had to have then had the female plant at one time and denied it male companionship and found out that it grows a flower that they could smoke. It had to have happened, trust me. Although, there's also the thought that it didn't exist then and only exists now because it's been bred enough times that it's become so good, right?
Chicken shit. And what people like to do is find a less wrong right-winger as opposed to just acknowledging, hey, the leftists were right every step of the way. And that's always our crime, is we're correct too early.
You just start singing that song, Personal Jesus, in your head. Doesn't matter what anyone thinks, and you're good to go. That drum beat, you can't deny Depeche Mode, Personal Jesus. Best song ever for that. Just, see? Exactly.
That's our crime. Our crime is that we're correct too early every single time. And then when it becomes clear we were correct too early, instead of these right-wing assholes who are now pivoting, instead of them admitting.
The video is just, I remember it because I saw it on MTV. It was fucking just him walking. Just like this long shot. This is like crazy. Anyway.
All right, yeah, I guess you guys were right. Instead, like I said, it's find some other asshole right-winger who's slightly less wrong than I was.
Especially
and then
Julio.
move forward as if nothing happened. So that's the part of this that's infuriating, is that
Julio
it's all
Jesus,
vibe-mongering and wave riding.
I mean, come on.
And what you still find, if you listen to Rogan's show, and we covered this on the show the other day, is yes, he will criticize MAGA now from time to time, but he saves his most
and Jesus are
scathing critiques for liberals and leftists and Democrats still. Like you still have, he starts cursing, he starts getting heated and passionate when he talks about something bad or wrong that a Democrat did. But when it's Trump, it's usually much more fucking reserved. And he still refuses to call out Trump by name. This is the closest that we've got, is him saying that there's some fucking dorks in MAGA. That's the closest that we got so far.
I have a theory that any mother that's willing to name their son Jesus, or Jesus especially, knows that their son has embodied Jesus and that they are a reincarnation of Jesus, even though he can. I mean, who says that Jesus can't come back as more than one person, quote unquote? I'm not religious, by the way, but I still think.
So, it's a little thing called too little, too late, and but this is what happens. You know, it'd be good to come out and be like, "Hey, man, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. I've been had." And the thing that's so frustrating is there were people like me who warned of exactly fucking this. When all these, MAGA's anti-war, Trump's anti-war, the pro-peace ticket, I was pulling my hair out, tweeting that, hey, here's Trump's foreign policy in his first term. Here's all the crimes he committed in his first term. Increasing drone strikes over 400%, hiring every single fucking neocon in Washington, D.C., increasing the Pentagon budget every single year, murdering Qasem Soleimani, trying to coup Venezuela. The list goes on and on and on. I was warning everybody, he's a warmonger, he's a warmonger.
Yeshua.
And then now he gets in there, and he's a warmonger, and everybody's like, oh, wow, who could have seen this coming? I did, and I warned you, and nobody fucking listened. So, man, it's frustrating. It is so fucking frustrating.
Being,
you ushered this in, Joe Rogan. You ushered this in. You lent your support with one of the biggest podcasts in the world at the time.
Yeah, you can't. Okay, so he's coming to the same conclusion I just yelled about. He's like, can we forgive him? How? Tell me how. Like, how can he come back into the fold, and how can I listen to his fucking opinion again? If I know what he's going to do again. Like, if there's another party that's the fucking fascist, he's gonna float with the fascists again. He's gonna be over at that fucking fascist wave. I'm done. Fuck you, Joe Rogan.
With a massive group of young men listening, you enthusiastically supported him.
It wouldn't work. Personal.
And now look at where we are. This man is ushering in a global economic collapse. At the same time, we're looking at World War III.
Look,
and
if you do believe in Jesus and Jesus and all that stuff, you know that they already know that the world's deterministic, right? Of course. So they already knew that Depeche Mode was going to release said song called Personal Jesus. And they were like, we have to then, make it so. Correct? Yeah, you can blame Depeche Mode. Exactly, because Depeche Mode had to exist. I mean, come on. That time, without Depeche Mode, anyone... Even if they don't know Depeche Mode, they know Depeche Mode. They heard it on the radio, and they've gone, they've done a little thing to it. They have. Even if they don't know it.
Entire time he's fucking golfing. They just said the other day, we want to cut healthcare to spend $200 billion on this illegal and offensive war against Iran. This is where we are. So, this is the strongest break Rogan has had to this point with MAGA. And so you have closet case Benny Johnson interviewed the smoky-eyed sociopath J.D. Vance, the failed drag queen J.D. Vance, another person who Rogan had on his show and played.
Whoopsie, they showed their face. Guys, the zombies look kind of like zombies, and the tigers are eating my face. The face-eating tigers are eating my face. Can I come back to your team? guys.
Fucking patty cakes with, by the way. And listen to what J.D. Vance says when presented with the fact that Rogan said this. Here we go.
Joe says MAGA's.
Meantime, you can listen to any yapper like me on Twitch, anywhere else. It's fucking partially left of anyone Democrat. And they're going to be saying the same thing. They're going to be saying, way before any of this, this is what we're going to get from Trump.
Full of dorks. What do you think? Because there's
Full
a
of
dork-
dorks.
This is
Full of dorks. And then he gives you the dorkiest fucking laugh you could ever have to exist. I don't normally like to pick on people's laughs, but this guy's is the dorkiest. He's got the dork on. He goes ahead and just be's a dork. Yeah, I know. He's like the ape. He's self-admitted. I'm just an ape. Now, back in the day, I used to listen to Joe Rogan podcast because it was really the only good podcast, to be honest. They had good people on. I didn't give a fuck about what he said. I just wanted to hear what the other people said. But I also was trimming a lot of weed, so had a lot of time to listen to shit.
MAGA's dorks.
I think we have many fewer dorks than the far left, but everybody's got.
Yeah, literally one of the first videos I showed was, Fox News making fun of 8 million quote unquote liberals out there. They got mental problems. They brought on a psychologist. It's like, okay. They're like, they got TDS. Yeah, many years ago, he had good guests on, correct. Many years ago, when he wasn't on Spotify. To be honest, before he got on Spotify, he had started, right before that, he started to change. You could tell. There was something that happened, especially after he moved to Austin. So don't even, like...
Kind of ironic, because these are quite possibly the two biggest dorks in MAGA. Closet case Benny Johnson, failed drag queen J.D. Vance, smoky-eyed sociopath J.D. Vance, and
smoky-eyed sociopath.
The far left. Okay, if the far
exactly, like, what does he not know the definition of dork?
Far left has dorks.
Like, no. The thing is like I said, it's Joe Rogan calling himself, like, he is mad at himself for being a dork and calling MAGA a dork vis-a-vis himself being MAGA. He said. He's trying to pretend like he was never MAGA when he was. Like Kyle said, he literally helped promote. We saw him do it. We all saw him promoting Trump as a candidate. Okay, we did. We saw him shift. Okay, he used to say he would support Bernie. Like, the fuck?
We have dorks who happen to be correct all along, who were factually accurate.
And he's right. See, he's talking about me. He's talking about himself. He's talking about, like, HASAN. He's talking about any of these other people. We have been factually correct on our assessment. And all of us have individually come to this decision too. Like, I will, there's not a lot of difference between what I spout and other people on this channel spout that are more popular than me. Like, or Kyle Kulinski.
Who were right.
He's come around to my side.
And who were fighting for the right things, by the way. So even if we were all dorks on our side. Dorks who fucking would be leading the country about 1,000 times better than you psychopaths. So, we're seeing...
Dude, I'm sorry, but there's more brain power between me and Kyle Kulinski standing in a room than 10 people that fucking run the government right now under Trump. I'm sorry. At least we got some fucking reasoning behind our heads, okay? And we can fucking make real reality and talk about it and not fucking... I mean, come on. I'm not trying to be, like, whatever, like I'm all that or whatever, but, like, I know I'm pretty fucking smart. Like,
it's happening, man. It's happening. You have people who are in the Brosphere podcast now. They realize it's untenable. And again, I want to reiterate here, because this is the most important thing. None of this is principled. And that's why I don't have many positive things to say about it. None of this is principled.
I agree with him.
It is.
See, he is also coming around to this side too, where he understands when these fucking grifters are grifting. And you have to understand this. You have to understand this, because then you can't trust what they say and you can't trust what they're telling you. Can you?
Is vibe mongers and wave riders who are realizing the vibes have shifted so fucking hard that it's no longer cool to be pro-Trump. And so it's out of desperation and trying to save their own ass cheeks that they do this. But now you have a situation
Must
where
be a millennial thing.
Andrew Schultz has largely turned, Tim Dillon has largely turned, although they're still basically both sides.
I mean, Tim Dillon. Everyone has their fucking time. Everyone has their fucking minute. Or, you know what I mean? Everyone has their limit, as I was going to say. Minute and limit.
Bullshitters and false equivalence mongers, right? Sagar and Jetty has turned. Dave Smith has very aggressively turned. And so you're now seeing this
Sagar
breakdown
has changed.
among the right-wing commentariat.
Yeah, I mean, Sagar is more like a fucking Democrat now. Like, you know what I mean? Just a regular liberal in some ways, but it's fine.
In the bro podcast sphere. But the final point I'll make is this, and this is the one that nobody's really contending with, is, yeah, even though there's a right-wing civil war among the commentators, there is no right-wing civil war among the voters. We've seen the polls. It's about 90% of MAGA supports this, and about 75 to 80% of Republicans support what Trump is doing. So, who is this? Who is this for? Nobody is the answer. Like, this is actually, nobody likes you. Nobody supports you. You're blowing your own relevance. You destroyed it when you snuggled up to Trump to begin with, and now there's basically no way out. And so you're in a hell of your own making.
He agrees.
Hey, y'all,
do
me a favor and like.
He agrees. There's no way out. You can't talk your way out of this, Joe Rogan. You literally need to get on your fucking knees, Joe, and say, that's it. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking sorry. I see what I did wrong. I need to hear that out of his fucking mouth before I trust him again. Like, serious. Not, I'm a dumbass. The real Joe Rogan that I know exists when he's fucking sorry. Okay? Because he has a huge platform. I'm sorry. He has a massive responsibility. And he blew it. He fucked it up. You hate to see it, chat. Now, it happens though. You get it certain rich. I think it's $100 million. It's $200 million. That's the number. That's it. Don't ever accept more than that in your life. I think that's the corruption level. Yes. 200 million or bust, folks. I'm telling you right now, I need more fucking production on my channel. I don't know how else I'm going to get
Very nice.
I'm working on it.
Very nice.
I see this fucking dork asking for a production person, but he's the worst fucking streamer in the world that I would never work for. 100% though. 100%. 100% would do production for someone. Could do that. That'd be fun.
So for more on the Iran war, we're very fortunate to be joined this morning by Lawrence Wilkerson. He's a retired U.S. Army colonel. He was former chief of staff to Secretary of State Colin Powell, Vietnam veteran, and also former faculty member at the U.S. Naval War College, and was a prominent critic of the Iraq war. Genuinely one of my heroes, certainly. Great to meet you, sir, and great to have you on.
Good to see you, sir.
Good to be with you.
Yes, of course. So let's go ahead and start with some of the latest here. Recent interview that President Trump gave to Financial Times. We can put some of the highlights, if you want to call them that, up on the screen here.
Wilkerson,
he told the Financial Times he, quote, wants to seize Iran's oil. Quote, to be honest with you, my favorite thing is to take the oil in Iran, specifically considering taking Karg Island. He compares it to Venezuela, saying the U.S. could control oil there indefinitely. Also claims Iran has no real defense.
He has good takes, but he's a bit of a reactionary. I don't know how to put it. Why is that not working?
quote, I don't think they have any defense. We could take it very easily. Acknowledges that Karg Island would require a lengthy occupation.
It's like, yeah,
he
I'll
also
just
says
remove
we
your voice
bombed
now.
13,000 targets. We've got about 3,000 targets left, and claims that regime change has effectively already happened. So your reaction to some of what President Trump is claiming here in this interview?
I think we're seeing Donald Trump do his best to create an aura around this decision to go to war in Iran that looks successful. And he's having great difficulty doing it, whether marshaling forces to show the American people that he can do that, or whether it's actually describing the situation in Iran. I bring it to my group's attention, and most of them know what I'm talking about, that when I used to be on the game floor in some of the biggest simulations and war games the United States played, global, for example, at the Naval War College, where former secretaries of defense, or in one case, sitting secretaries of defense, would play the president in the game. These were very serious games. And one of the things I would always ask the people on the game floor is, how are you doing? Or some question
Is that
like
him skipping or me?
And if a Navy captain or an Army colonel came back to me and said, we're accomplishing our objectives, I'd take him in the corner and chew his butt out. And I would say, that's not what I asked you. Are you accomplishing your mission? You can bomb the hell out of the world.
This is one of his takes.
Accomplish your objectives. So many bombs, so many targets, so many airplanes, and not be accomplishing your mission. And they would look back at me with some amazement. Ooh, oh, is that right, sir? Oh, okay, let me get back to you. That's what I would say here. You can drop all the bombs in the world. You can be accomplishing your plans and all that. But if they aren't leading you to accomplishing your mission, it's nonsense. And that's what's happening here, partly because no one has articulated the mission.
Sir, I'm actually really curious, considering your experience in the Bush administration. The current plan is now to go in, or at least one floated plan, is to go in, use U.S. ground troops to seize 1,000 pounds of uranium, somehow just be on the ground for days or weeks, be able to take that without taking any casualties or minimal casualties, potentially with the 82nd Airborne that would be surrounding them. From a military strategic level, also genuinely as somebody who was engaged probably in similar conversations there at the time, I mean, how fantastical of a plan is that? What are the realities of being able to successfully be able to pull that off? Not only just to extract the uranium, but also to make sure that...
Yeah, I'm not. So I trust him on this, but I don't
there's
know,
minimal U.S. casualties.
Overestimate.
First of all, I don't think General Keane, and I don't know him that well, but I've seen a little bit of his activities, and I know something of his objections to this entire process.
Doesn't it sound like just the, they better have Star-Lord, you're right. Fuck. They probably don't. Oh, they do actually. MAGA has Star-Lord. We're good. The actor. He's actually MAGA. We're good. Dude, he's going to fight on MAGA's side. We're good. They got actual Star-Lord out there now. That's right.
They weren't heated, of course. But I don't think anyone is going to give the real evidence or facts of what's going to happen. I see forces moving from Naha and Okinawa, the 15th MU, I believe, the forward deployed MU. I see forces moving from Southern California, from Washington State, from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, from Ramstein, of course, all manner of forces moving toward, or supposedly toward, some of them haven't even received a warning order yet, if you can believe that, the area. What that means in terms of what's been stated, I think is very difficult to ascertain. I hope probably because the military is obfuscating it and doesn't want anybody, including the enemy, to know what we're going to do. But I think you're right in terms of the array of forces being put down. It looks as if we're going to have some more or less conventional forces.
I feel like we're going to literally be seeing like dead Marines like splattered on the ground. I mean, we won't see it, but we're going to see that, like, and that's not okay with me at all. There's no goal. There's no fucking end goal. There's no reason to be there except to fucking carry out this Israeli genocidal project. And we should not be involved in it. And we shouldn't be funding it in Israel. And we shouldn't be funding this war in Iran at all. Period. Anyone that wants to tell you otherwise right now, whether they're a fucking Republican, a Democrat, in my opinion, is just misleading you. And I don't got nothing to say about it because I'm not fucking out there. I'm not out there on the fucking campaign trail or anything. I just a political commentator on little Twitch here. That's it. But I know I'm not the only one thinking and saying this. That's what I'm saying.
To protect, as well they can, those special operators who are going in to try and find something that we want. And from what Dr.
Let's hope
Ted
it's the
Postol
Escalade.
has told
He's like,
me,
nah, I was kidding. That's right. I'm just going to get a taco. Who doesn't like a taco? These taco salads are the best. That's right. Mexican food. The best. That's taco salad.
but emeritus professor at MIT, the most serious thing is, and I think Ted's right on this, he thinks, as the North Koreans did and fooled us in 2002, I was there when they did it, they have the capability to match the enriched uranium to the warhead, to the Krumshah or whatever missile, and send a nuclear weapon at Israel. And they are fast perfecting that deep underground in a laboratory that they built especially for this purpose. If that's the case, I suspect that's principally what we're after.
If you suspect?
I don't know, but I would say that's probably the main target we're after. And I think we have.
That is supposing that we have really good CIA plants inside the Iranian regime, which we probably do. That's also assuming that the Iranian regime that remains doesn't already know that's a compromise or compromat and are feeding them improper information as to where that is. I don't think it's easy to determine what's underground, is it? Even with scanning technology, I'm not sure that's possible.
Have less than a 50% chance of achieving success.
So
He says less than 50%. I think it's 30%. You have a 30% success rate on this. That means you don't go in. Because that 30% success rate ultimately, just by the fact that it's 30%, means there's going to be a lot of fucking casualties just to get to that 30%. Are you kidding me? Like, man. He said less than 50% because I don't think he's even willing to say it's lower. I think it's lower than
believe that
30%.
Decision may have already been made. And how does that change the game? You know, obviously Iran has talked a lot about their goal in this war is to establish some level of deterrence, so they're not constantly being, you know, threatened and bombed by the U.S. and by Israelis. So how does the strategic calculus change for us
They're surrounded
if Iran has decided, like,
by
okay,
bases.
well, I guess we're off to the races here?
If it isn't proof that they're surrounded by bases, it's the simple fact that they've been able to use short-range missiles to hit U.S. bases in other countries. Ask yourself, why are they surrounded by bases? Because Israel. Yeah.
That's a very good question. One, a group of us were pondering until the wee hours last night. And I think there's another dimension here that is crucial. We have seen devastating accuracy based on truly excellent intelligence all through the region by Iran. From Erbil in Kurdistan to our own embassy in Baghdad to the 2 aircraft that crashed over Iraq. By the way, one of those aircraft, we have it from good authority, was actually hit by a shoulder-fired missile. Wow. It wasn't an accident. Wow. It actually was hit by a missile and went down. To other things that they've done in countries like Bahrain, where they destroyed our entire Fifth Fleet capability,
they took down AWACS
and
too.
Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Now, think of this
with
for
a
moment. We know that Iran has a second set of targets in countries in the region. It is waiting to see which of those countries actually support materially support these actions that are supposedly coming up by these ground forces from the United States
because
and
they're going to
perhaps
get
Britain.
help.
They are then going to execute that second. And if they execute that second target list with a devastating effect that they did the first,
that's their better missiles.
The global economy is going to go into depression.
He is correct.
Because it will take out almost all of the capacity. Whether it gets through the strait or not will be irrelevant because it will be destroyed. This is significant, and we're not even paying any attention to it.
Sir, how worried are you about the use of nuclear weapons by Israel, by Iran, by the United States?
Very, especially Israel. I would put the order of probability in that order. Israel first, Iran possibly second if Ted's right. And I don't think I don't even think Donald Trump, I hope I phrased that properly. I don't even think Donald Trump would resort to nuclear weapons.
Tell us about that with Israel. Then.
Actually,
You've
I don't
dealt with
think
the
he likes
Israelis. You
nukes.
studied them for a long time. Why are you so worried
To be
about
honest.
I remember in '73, if it hadn't been for the Soviets and us, and Henry Kissinger to a certain extent, bringing the pressure that both capitals brought on Israel, Golda Meir at the time, I think they had already uploaded 1 or 2 bombs and were going to drop it on the Egyptian Third Army, which was putting them in peril at that moment.
What the fuck?
What really solved that was the Israelis managed to flank that army and didn't need the nuclear weapon. But Golda Meir at the time, maybe it was for public consumption, told a BBC reporter, and it was on the top front page above the fold of one of the London papers the next morning, that in response to his question, would you use a nuclear weapon? She didn't bat an eye. She said yes.
You were telling us before the segment started, there were some headlines jumping out at you this morning in the Israeli press in particular about J.D. Vance potentially looking for an off-ramp and wanting to put Israel's interests to the side, which would be necessary in order to even begin to explore an off-ramp. Do you put any credence in that reporting? And what off-ramp exists for
the Israeli Zionists?
I think we should declare
not
victory
the Jews,
and quit.
Not the Jews.
That's what I think.
Jews.
And Trump's a genius at lying about it. So I think with the MAGA base, at least, although it's becoming even more fragmented than he thought probably by this time, I think still he'd have enough core there that would believe him no matter what fantastic lies he told about it. But declare victory and quit and tell Netanyahu he's on his own. The only problem with that is what we just discussed. Would Netanyahu, being on his own, seeing the Jewish state of Israel disappearing under his feet, to be credited?
He's right, actually. He would be like, I had no other choice but to use a nuclear weapon. Right? Holy shit.
To him in history, would he not use a nuclear weapon or two? And as a military professional, he wouldn't use one. He'd have to use quite a few to have any impact on a vast country like Iran. 93 million people, the size of Western Europe. One nuclear weapon of the kilotonnage that Israel has would not do very much. If he dropped it on Tehran, of course, it would be bloody. It would be terrible, it'd be horrible. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. But I don't think he would do that. He'd drop it on these military targets that are significantly underground, and that's not going to do very much. So he'd have to use many of them, and then the genie is truly out of the bottle.
Yeah. Last question for you, sir. You served in Vietnam. We were reading a quote from General Westmoreland this morning from 1965. He said there's no scenario where U.S. Marines would ever engage with the Vietnamese in the very first weeks of the war. Do you see parallels here with some of these deployments? Tell us about that.
I do. The major parallel I see is we went in, I think, with reasonably good intentions, and we ruined it all, and we didn't recognize it for 59,000 plus casualties later. Now, there were other reasons. Johnson committing that huge amount of troops he did. I think President Johnson knew. He knew George Ball had told him, this is a case study I taught at William & Mary, that it wasn't going to do any good. And LBJ actually said, and I quote, "Oh ho, ain't going to be moved by no bombs," unquote. That's a direct quote from LBJ. And he knew it, but he knew also that if he
sounds like something LBJ would fucking say too.
And so he didn't. And some 30,000 added to that 59,000 killed later, we finally left. This is a similar situation, and with a much different administration, which I don't think even knows how to make national security decisions.
Well, retired Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, thank you so much for your time this morning. We got a lot out of this. We hope you'll consider coming back.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, I saw him on a show last week on this show, so he's doing the rounds. But that was a much better assessment because he's got a lot more deep. Sounds like he talked to a lot of his friends, and they kind of were doing game war theory. I think that's a good assessment. None of what he just said made it sound like America has a chance of winning anytime soon. Yeah, who knew Iran was so complicated? Who knew? Who knew it was surrounded by weapons? There's only 1,000 videos on YouTube about it. Surrounded by mountains with long-range missiles. Who knew? It's a hard egg to crack, some would say. I don't know, chat. Yeah, here you go. I got it for you. I got it.
Today's Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Here it is. I love you guys, chat. So, just wanted to tell you. A good old Taco Trump.
And Donald Trump posted a very special message in honor of the occasion.
Oh, what is
This is from his Facebook page. He says, and I'm quoting here, "Happy Cinco de Mayo. The best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower Grill. I love Hispanics." A sentiment which may come as a surprise to many Hispanic groups, which have been protesting him ever since he announced he was running for president. With that speech, if you recall, referring to illegal immigrants as criminals and rapists. Well, Hillary Clinton quickly replied to Trump on Twitter, quoting him back to himself, saying, quote, "I love Hispanics." Trump 52 minutes ago. "They're going to be deported." Trump yesterday.
I love Hispanics.
And linking to a bilingual campaign ad.
You remember that? The Taco Trump? There you go. There's another reason to call him Taco Trump. The best taco. It doesn't look good actually at all. You know what he said? Like, there's a little dab of sour cream on the side, and then it's like beef and cheese. That's all it is. It's literally just beef and cheese. You can see it. That is not a taco bowl. Okay. A taco bowl is not just beef and cheese, sir. I don't care. That's the way I like it. You don't tell me how they make these. That's not Mexican. I tell you what Mexican is. I know. The fuck, bro? My kind of Taco Bell. Of course you gotta have lettuce and tomato and some fucking pico and some fucking lots more sour cream. Come on, dude. Gotta have like that meat with the crispy lettuce, fresh salsa. Come on. Like, yeah, half that meat at one time, maybe. But like, come on, bro. That's why he's dying. That's why his heart can't pump. Right there. If you eat that amount of meat with lettuce too, you're good. Without the lettuce? Hopefully I'm right. I don't know. We'll see. All right, I think I have another video for us, and then that's about it for me. It is an hour long, though.
Extraordinarily dangerous. Unfortunately, Iran has proven to be a pretty clever
Don't know if I'll last that long.
You can't do that kind of invasion with a couple of thousand troops. You need a couple of 100,000 troops.
They do want to die. The Ayatollah was going to get hit. He sat there, and I think he thought he was going to go up to paradise and find his 72.
He's going to get his virgins, just like I'm going to get my virgins.
No. Trigger warning.
Virgins.
The Iranians have been reactive to this.
not proactive, there has to be a response. You can't just say, well, you know what, we're an existential threat to the Israelis, so of course the Israelis are going to have to bomb us.
There's never been a guarantee to defeat evil, but there is one guarantee. If you don't stand up to it, you're going to lose.
Please help us bomb Iran. Please help us bomb Iran. Please help us bomb Iran. And the president's always said no. President Trump was duped by Benjamin Netanyahu, and now we're in a war that we cannot win.
I don't think I've ever seen a gathering of more spineless people in my entire life.
For all the talk of Vice President J.D. Vance being marginalized by the war in Iran, he could play a defining role in ending it. The Iranians say they don't trust the president's chief negotiators, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and they'll only talk to him. And Vance has now kickstarted the blame game for a war.
Sorry, I got to give the Iranians proper props for that, because they definitely read those two guys right. Those two guys are some of the most slimy guys you could ever meet. You ever meet anyone that resembles Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff? Run as fast as you can, especially if you're a woman. Run as fast as you can the other way. Absolute slime balls.
It's becoming more complicated, expensive, and unpopular by the day. Benjamin Netanyahu, he says, oversold Trump on the chances of an
we'll
easy
take your
victory
dumb
and a
vice
swift
president
uprising,
over these
neither of which
sleazeballs.
look close,
Thanks very much.
if they're still possible at all. According to the vice president, everything the US
Wow.
is doing now is to prevent a drawn-out war.
We'll take your fucking dork of a vice president over these sleazeballs. Like, Iran, you're doing that's a W. W choice.
We've accomplished the gross majority of our military objectives. I think you can make a good argument we've accomplished all of our military objectives. The president's going to keep at it for a little while to ensure that once we leave, we don't have to do this again for a very, very long time.
Wow.
The problem is, as it always has been, that the
He doesn't like
objectives
it, actually. That's the only thing that could be good about this. It actually looks like he doesn't like the war.
unclear and ever-changing. Trump
You
says
could
he's
explain why he's
negotiating
been
with a
quiet.
new regime in waiting, but we don't know who that is. Thousands of US Marines are now in the region with special forces and paratroopers on the way. They're reportedly preparing for a ground operation that could take weeks. There's talk of seizing and occupying Haag Island to choke off the oil exports which keep the Iranian economy alive. The Wall Street Journal says Trump is weighing up a Hollywood...
Honestly, I think Hegseth would put an axe through Giuliani's head before they would lose at being drunk. If you don't know the axe reference. God, it's kind of AI does that, don't they? They kind of come back at you with like such a balanced answer. You're like, no, be more aggressive. God damn it. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Worthy raid on Iran's uranium,
You gotta be literal
involving
with it.
diggers, nuclear scientists, and thousands of troops behind enemy lines. Polymark.
I think you're probably right. Giuliani would win, except that one simple trick that I just said is the axe. Do not let them have axes around because Hegseth will literally put it through Giuliani's head.
It says there's now a 70% chance that US
But before
forces
they
will
pass
enter
out,
Iran
I'm saying
by the end of
Hegseth
April.
would
an
then
upward
put the
swing
axe
of
through his
20%
head.
in just 2 days.
Did I say that
on a
enough times?
$54 million
That there was an axe
market.
going
Anyone
through
who's paid any attention to big
Giuliani's
market
head
moves relating
in,
to this war and this
fantasy,
White
of course.
House
I
will know
did say
exactly
that a couple
why
times.
that's worthy of our attention.
I'm terribly
And
sorry,
running in
Giuliani.
parallel to all of this is the ongoing escalation by America's partner in the war. Israel is expanding its...
There was just footage of Hegseth throwing axes, and he's not very accurate. So I assumed that if he was then to grab an axe while drunk, and you two were then having that said drunk contest, you know, he might then miss, and of course it would land in your head because that's how Hegseth's luck works. You can clearly see it.
Invasion of Lebanon, raising fears of a scorched earth campaign modelled on the Gaza war. The IDF is facing intensifying criticism for several attacks which appear to have targeted journalists. J.D. Vance may want a swift end to the war in Iran, as do a majority of the American people. There's currently no indication they're going to get it. To debate
So
this,
he
I'm
thinks
joined
J.D.
by
Vance
Mark
doesn't like the
Emmett,
war
retired
either.
US
Okay.
Army Brigadier General, Amin Dane, who's the author of 9 Lives, My Time as MI6's top spy inside Al-Qaeda, and Doran Spielman, reservist ideology.
Who's the guy before him? He was at MI6? MI5? What?
ADF spokesman and author of When the Stones Speak. Well, welcome to all of you. General Kimmel, welcome back to Uncensored.
Sure.
Every time we
Fucking
talk
intelligence,
in this war,
mate. That's right.
It seems to have
I pretended
escalated
to be
at the same rate that
Al-Qaeda agent.
President
That's
Trump
right,
and
mate.
others try to reassure us
Best
it's
job
over
ever.
and America has already won. So forgive me if I'm a little bit confused sitting here in London. Where are we with this war? Because from where I sit, it's not over. The Straits of Hormuz remain pretty well closed. The attacks on the Gulf states by Iran continue. There is enormous economic damage from a month of the world's oil and gas being held up, along with the world's fertilizer. And the President of the United States is now committing a lot of troops to the region.
They're talking
and
about
the
10
briefings
grand.
that the papers are getting is
They're
that
talking
he
about
is planning
10,000.
potentially some sort of land invasion, which I have to say again, as I've been saying for a while now, that is completely contrary to everything that Donald Trump campaigned on. The one thing he reassured his supporters was, I will not take America into any more senseless, expensive wars in the Middle East, and I definitely won't put boots on the ground. Here we are. What do you make of it?
Who believed him?
Well, first of all, you've asked about 10 questions, made about 10 statements. So let me get
Yeah, as much time as you like, General.
No, I'm just going to say let's remain focused on what I believe either are or should have been the objectives of this war. We went into negotiations with the Iranians to do 3 things. End their nuclear program, end their ballistic missile program, end their proxy program. We were unable to achieve that at the bargaining table, so we've taken it to the battlefield.
Okay, so he's not going to give the reason for that.
A lot of noise, a lot of chatter, a lot of flack over the last few weeks. But I certainly hope those remain our core interests.
Chatter and flack.
And if those remain our core interests, and candidly, the core interests of countries around the world, to include Great Britain.
Keep in mind, this guy is actual airborne. So.
No, we haven't achieved our objectives yet, nor should we be discussing off-ramps at this point.
Okay, but my sense is that Donald Trump would love an off-ramp if he could claim any kind of legitimate victory that gets him out of this, because he knows that, never mind anything else, politically, as he edges nearer to the midterm elections, this is proving incredibly unpopular.
Yes, the key word was edging closer.
The polls show that. And I think that for that reason alone, coupled with the economic mayhem it's causing, it makes no sense to a businessman like Donald Trump, a deal maker, to allow this to continue for months and months and months. And yet, I don't...
Dude. The only thing he cares about is the stock market. And it went up, didn't it?
See how he can stop it if the Iranians have worked out that it's the economic part of this war that they're currently winning.
No, I agree with you. First of all, I don't think Donald Trump cares about the midterms. He's already accepted them as lost. Even if they were won by the Democrats, the fact remains is that nothing is going to get done in the United States Congress, whether the Republicans still in charge or whether they're Democrats are in charge. Our legislative body seems to be generally...
He's not going to freak out over a correction, right?
Irrelevant.
I don't know. Maybe
but look, I think that Donald Trump now recognizes that the advice he took or the orders that he issued are not achieving the results he wanted. Unfortunately, Iran has proven to be a pretty clever adversary.
It's not worse, actually.
The Israelis went for regime decapitation. The Americans went for
he's really lucky.
Blow up as much stuff as possible. And the Iranians kind of did a jujitsu move and said, okay, we're going to move down to the Strait of Hormuz. If you want to do regime decapitation, we're going to do economic decapitation.
We don't care.
As we used to say, old dead Karl Clausewitz,
Look, the people that are playing in the stock market, that are the bigger ones that are really controlling the market, They'll push for a break so that they fucking have a correction so they can buy low. You know what I mean? Come on. This is the way it works. We know this.
He had some great lines, and one of them is, after a war starts, it takes on its own character. And while this president may have hoped for a quick and easy victory as he had in Venezuela, or a negotiated settlement as he had in Syria, this war has definitely taken on a character of its own.
And before I go to our two other very patient guests, thank you to both of you. Just one final question, purely on the military reality of any kind of ground invasion. Because if it seems to be the case, the only way to guarantee getting the enriched uranium, which is believed to be buried way below the ground and heavily protected, if the only way to do that is with ground forces, is it not going to be incredibly hazardous to do that in a country like Iran when they believe that regime change is absolutely on the mind, certainly of the Israelis, and probably quite a few people in the Trump administration too? In other words, they have little to lose. That if America was to put ground forces down, potentially with IDF, we don't know, is that not a very dangerous mission, General?
Extraordinarily dangerous. These two gentlemen to my right don't remember what you and I do, which is a 1979 mission to try to get the American hostages out of Tehran. That was an absolute goat. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when you also not only have a tough target, but your mission is being bleated out by every broadsheet like the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, makes life kind of difficult. So I simply think that may be, again, to use another trope, a bridge too far at this point, unless we pull some real magic out of our hats. And I don't think we're going to be, quote, invading or conducting an invasion. That brings to mind of your audience another attack into Iraq to go up to Baghdad. You can't do that kind of invasion with a couple of thousand troops. You need a couple of 100,000 troops. So what I see those ground troops being used for primarily is short,
what about 10,000
operations, probably no further in than the littoral, to go against the speedboats, the mine factories, the missile factories along the beaches. Maybe even a dumb idea like Karg Island, although I think the better way for Karg Island is just take out the electricity. That way you can quickly turn it back on when you need it.
I mean, the problem, and I'll come to our other guest now, Doran Spielman, the problem here is that Donald Trump has kind of signaled everything that America may do. He does it on a kind of every few hours basis on social media.
And then he changes it 2 hours later.
Right. And the problem, Doran Spielman, is, I can remember watching movies about the code breakers in World War II, where there were whole teams of people whose job it was to crack sophisticated codes that the Germans were leaving, for example, planning their military operation. The Iranians don't need any code breakers. They've got the President of the United States just broadcasting it all. So, they know that there may be an attack on Haag, for example. They know that the Americans may do X, Y, Z because Trump keeps saying that's what.
Trump doesn't have to say. They already know how to defend their territory better than we know how to attack it. I can guarantee you that.
What they may do. Is that, apart from anything else, is it sensible?
No.
Look, these are all the million-dollar questions, how we're going to look back at President Trump. 100 years from now, I can say this, that he's definitely knocking off balance a lot of terror regimes throughout the world, including Venezuela. I think he's sending a different message than has been sent. It's not the typical diplomatic message. This is kind of the Trump deal maker, where he comes in, and we've seen it multiple times when he offers with one hand a carrot, and with the other hand, if it's not taken, he's got Marines moving in. And I'm not sure that it's the incorrect way. I think we'll know when this is over. But I do, Pierce, kind of want to zoom out a little bit. I think, this is not a news story. I think we need to kind of take a few steps back here. This is a story that I can say as a Jew who's, we're going to be celebrating Passover in 2 nights. It goes back to the Passover story. It's really a question: are we going to stand up against oppression? Are we going to make a move that there's no guarantee what we're going to do, but we have a chance at changing a paradigm? Or are we just going to accept, okay, we're slaves, we're oppressed, and we're going to allow a terrorist regime that has expressly said they want to kill and destroy the United States multiple times. They've said that they want to destroy Israel. Are we going to allow them to become nuclear? Are we going to allow them to build up their ballistic missile program?
Yeah.
Or are we going to say, you know something? There's no guarantee. But we're going to hearken back to a story
What do you mean?
that is 3,000 years old, which has inspired multiple stories throughout the world, which is, you know what? There's no guarantee. There's never been a guarantee to defeat evil, but there is one guarantee. If you don't stand up to it, you're going to lose.
Oh, shut.
Eamon Dean, you've made a point that you've got to filter out all the noise in a fast-moving situation like
He's making the
try
money.
and get to the reality of the movement of military assets.
Exactly.
You say deployments don't lie.
I say it happens
narratives
tomorrow.
do. The rest is theatre for markets.
I'm not even kidding. Literally. Come on, Putin. Help a brother out. Dude, I'm pro like country. Like I pro country's like sovereignty. I don't believe in violating another country's sovereignty like we're doing right now. Unless it's like, unless you mean it. Unless you mean to fucking fight to the death. Like, i.e. never do it. And that's what the nuclear weapon does. It gives you that shield that everyone else has. And it's too bad, because I am anti-nuke. But I, as an anti-nuker, realize that the one person without the nuke is the one that's going to get attacked. Okay. Do an experiment. Like, think about this as a thought experiment. Just for a second. I just had a thought. Put 50 men in a prison, lock them in there. Just saying, as a thought experiment. Every single one of them has a pistol with 10 rounds. Okay? One of them doesn't. Little thing in there. No one knows who doesn't have the gun. Okay. Anyway, it's the way it should be. But unfortunately, it's the other way around, where everyone knows you have a nuke, except everyone knows you also don't have one when you don't have one. So,
publics and gullible media,
and that's why everyone's like, they can't have a nuke because then what? Then what? Israel says it's because Iran will immediately nuke them, which is fucking stupid. No one believes that. Yeah, Jason Statham doesn't need the pistol. Okay, so exactly. So that's the game. That's the movie. 50 men versus Jason Statham with no pistol. Who ends up with a pistol and alive? That's easy. That's an easy W. You could say Jason Statham, right? But I'm talking about normal old humans, like just weak-ass, pathetic human cuckolds. You know what I mean?
Of course, that is often the case in every war.
I know.
Again, from where I sit,
it has literally
it's not that I
been
don't
done.
think that the Iranians are a very...
That plot is literally the plot of a Jason Statham movie 7 times. Oh my God. Different setting, same story. And somehow it can work, but after I haven't watched a good one in a while.
Very bad regime. They are and have been since they took power in 1979.
I prefer Jason Statham's more British encounters, like Lock, Stock, I think, and then there's a couple other ones Guy Ritchie films he was in.
It's not that I'll lose any sleep over the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. He was an appalling human being who terrorized his own people, who sponsored terrorism all over the region, largely aimed at Israel. So I...
Wait, Piers, mate, please, mate, Piers, let me chime in, mate. This lowly Twitch streamer over here, mate, please listen, mate, please, once in your life. Are you speaking of America, Israel, or Iran? Because it sounds the same to me. Hello? Everything he just said about Iran is the same for Israel, if not tenfold, and true rather than lies. And about America. We do all that shit. Okay. That means that Iran can attack us, take us over, because we have all these terrible things about us. Sir. I dropped my accent, sorry.
Can totally get all that.
Piz, mate. God damn it, mate. Listen to me. You keep interrupting. Jesus Christ. Good thing I put him on mute. Yes, transporter, actually. You're right. That was really good. The fucking, yeah, that was, yeah. Especially the cinematography in that was really good too.
Launching such a full throttle attack on a country with 90 million people, where the regime clearly has a lot of firepower to protect itself, 250,000.
Honestly, I think Jason Statham's worst move was playing too much off of the transporter, the success of transporter. Like he made money, I guess. I guess it's just a working stiff. He just probably thinks I'm just a fucking working stiff, mate. You know what I mean? So he's just like, whatever. But like, I think he has more, you could see his breadth. He has a little more breadth in his acting. You could see it a little bit more in like Lock, Stock and other shows that he's in.
The IRGC, you have 500,000 paramilitaries, a million regular army. But they've got a lot of people around to enforce their will. And so far, there's no sign of any public uprising. There are a number of reasons for that, not least of which bombs flying around. But I just don't see any sign of a victory here. I see a lot of bombs going off, a lot of show of military might.
Just run.
But I also see the Iranians winning the economic war quite easily and quite devastatingly. You know, I'm looking at the markets. I'm looking at the oil production, gas production. And now I see Trump in a message this morning in which he talks about potentially going after desalination plants in Iran. Well, the first reaction of Iran to that.
That's a war crime. Those are not legitimate targets. Do people not know that actual war does have rules? There's laws about war. Do you wonder why we've never had like a gas attack from like, you know what I mean? Because they outlawed that. There's rules in war. Okay, there's rules and then there's rules. Like there's international rules about war, like ask Congress before you go to war. Yeah, that's a rule. But then there's rules that we've like signed treaties about after World War II that actually mean something. That if broken, put the people that are proven to have broken those rules actually in jail, in a military jail, in a military jail, even some of them. So it's taken seriously.
That would be to go after desalination plants in the Gulf states.
So if Trump gave the order to go after a desalination plant in Iran, and one of those F-16 pilots took that desalination plate out, and you prove later on that pilot followed those orders could be deemed illegal, and the pilot should have not then followed those orders because they know that was against international law. The real law, like the real, you can't you're fucking up, dude. Like the hospital thing that Israel's in trouble for, all the hospitals they've bombed, that's big time trouble. Like in the end of this, there could be trials that have people. There potentially could be people in jail for that,
which would be utterly devastating. Not, for people who don't quite grasp what that means, you're talking about desert states that rely on desalination plants for water. If you get rid of those, they don't have much drinking water left before they all start dying. So these are incredibly
we need more action comedies,
serious threats that Trump is lobbing out all the time, whilst at the same time saying, actually, you know what, we're talking to them and it should be over soon.
What was the one that Trump wanted rebooted?
Not just confusing, but borderline ridiculous.
He wanted rebooted. It was Rush Hour.
Well, Piers,
we need Rush Hour 4.
March 2019. So that's about 7 years
Rush
ago.
Hour 4.
On my podcast.
We need Chris Tucker.
I talked about the reason why Saudi Arabia went to war in Yemen against the Houthis. And in that conflict, in that podcast, I said that one of the reasons is that Saudi Arabia wanted to protect, above everything else, water desalination. Because you see, during the Gulf War between Iraq and Iran, between 1980 and 1988, and I grew up in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia at that time, and I was from Bahrain, so I know all about, the situation, in the Gulf at that time, and how it was really harrowing and really threatening. But at the same time, the Saudis realized that their water desalination plants on the Gulf were under threat from Iran in a future conflict. Because since I grew up, I always hear about Iranian threats from across the water. So it's not something new. So the Saudis moved many of these water desalination plants to the west, to the Red Sea, even though it will cost far more, in terms of economics of doing it. However,
they're not
then
out of reach now,
2014, the Iranians chased the Saudis all the way into the southwestern flank of their country.
What?
And they pushed the Houthis into taking over the power in Yemen, and after a blood.
What the fuck is he yapping about? Even I know this is some what?
The civil war, and then they absolutely start threatening water desalination in the west of Saudi Arabia. So, Piers, the Iranians has been threatening to close the Straits.
He's like, hey, it wouldn't be a big deal if we took out their water desalination because they've already threatened Saudi Arabia's water desalination before. I remember it from when I was a kid. I lived there. Bro. Hey, CIA, I know you're on my channel. Hey, NSA, can you call me? Call me. Call me. I need the money. Call me. I can do this. What he's doing, I can do this. Call me. Call me, CIA. You got my number. You know you need me. Let's go. I'm defecting. I'm not going to be a leftist. Former leftist 87 from Twitch is now working for the CIA.
Of Hormuz since I was a 7-year-old child, and that was 40 years ago. I feel old.
7-year-old child. He's like, I saw the fucking. So I'm supposed to listen to your filter as a 7-year-old and trust your judgment on what was going on in Saudi Arabia when Iran supposedly pushed the Houthis up into what the fuck?
Now, and they've been threatening the water desalination of the Saudi Arabia and the other GCC countries for 40 years, and
they've been threatening
to attack energy facilities. In fact, the attack against energy facilities happened already at the hands of the Iranian proxies in September 2019 against Aramco, the biggest.
Right, but what they've been given here is license to do it under the guise of retaliation, because
they had the license from a long time ago, Pierre.
Look, mate. The war's just making them give it a valid excuse to retaliate when they would have done it already anyway, mate. What? Huh?
No, I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying
they've always been doing it.
No, I understand, but to the world, what it looks like is that, all right, fair enough. Iran's getting bombed everywhere. The Israelis are bombing their refineries. Why shouldn't they bomb other people's refineries?
As would any person analyzing a war that was reasonable, realizing that the war is about a tit for tat? Is it usually, and if it isn't at least a tit for tat, you call it a war, it isn't one. More like a massacre, right? Like, Israel is like, yeah, we're at war with the Palestinians or whatever. They don't really say that, but they are. And there's no war. There's no... Like, they don't, like, They don't hit a Palestinian village and then a Palestinian village hits back with equal power. That's a war. Right? That's like what's happening with Iran. Like, Iran can hit us back with an equalish power, like in the area especially. Like, come on. To joke about that and say it's not possible.
So they're using everything that's happening to them as an excuse to do probably what, as you say, they've wanted to do for a long time. But what they have worked out is that they can control the global economy in a way that I think the Americans have.
They have always wanted and done this, and the Americans, Hegseth thinks he can break this. He thinks he can change this. Somehow they think they can change the order there, which isn't even under our control. Even with our bases there, it still isn't under control. I mean, it's more about the relationships there in the Gulf than us.
Massively underestimated. And I think it's come as a nasty shock. And
Pierce, I don't think you can't win a war this way, Pierce.
It's not a nasty shock, mate. It's only a nasty shock to idiots that didn't know. God, I'm going to fucking kill Piers. Piers plays dumb way too much. Fuck you, Piers.
I mean, this kind of reasoning, I'll give you an example. Imagine there's an illegal arms dealer on your street, right? And so you call the FBI, you call the police, and they surround the house. And the guys inside the house start shooting at you, right? So what are you going to say? Oh, we gave them an excuse to shoot at.
He's like, yeah, let's compare us to domestic violence inside a house with the police. As if war is ever about that. See, he is conflating what I'm talking about. Is what he thinks war is someone fucking taking advantage of someone who's holed up in their hole. Anyone that thinks the Iranians are holed up in their fucking holes, like Fox News was saying earlier, is fucking Delulu.
We gave them license to shoot at us. No, if you're going to go after the arms, then the guys are going to pick up the arms that they're threatening and you're going to use it. What's the difference? Iran would have used this anyway. They would have closed the Straits of Hormuz. Pierce, the difference.
Sir, you are thinking in absolute elementary thought processes. Your books behind you do not make you any smarter. You can read books and you can not understand them, or you can misinterpret them. And this man is an expert at it. I can tell you that right now.
The difference is, had we waited,
he has the books. He's either not read them, and if he has read them, he's misinterpreted them because
they would be closing the Straits of Hormuz with a nuclear threat, with an armed nuclear.
Literally a fucking high school grade math fucking politic take.
Weapon. Could you imagine the price of oil? If there's a nuclear Iran, and they're crazy, right? I've got ballistic missiles landing next to my home with massive warheads, which if one of those landed in England, God forbid, and if it's unprotected, can take out 50 blocks. If we don't stand up now, this isn't giving license to them. This is trying to defeat them, and they're using whatever they have at their disposal.
Well, then, but then it comes down. Okay, but then it comes down to how an impending threat you feel Iran was posing, and I am not convinced.
Bro realized halfway through his argument he couldn't defend what he was going to say, and he waffled. You see that shit?
Convinced, as I wasn't by the argument about Saddam Hussein back in 2003, I am not convinced that there was an imminent threat from these weapons in the way that people have tried to sell it, and I think that's the problem. And I think that there are lots of bad regimes. There are lots of bad regimes around the world. Well, there are lots of bad regimes around the world, like North Korea, that America does not attack, right? Even though every argument you would use against your
Piers, mate. They have a nuclear weapon, mate. Piers. Don't tell me this, dense, mate. Oh, fuck. You had a few too many at the pub, didn't you? This fucking wanker.
Iranians works equally to the Iranians, to the North Koreans. So there are reasons you don't do this kind of thing.
This fucking wanker. Yeah, there are reasons. What are they, Piers?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, okay.
Not at all.
What are the reasons, mate, that you don't attack the country?
Well, there's a reason. Okay, but no one's attacked North Korea.
I'm sorry.
Mate, no one's attacked North Korea. Why? Tell me, mate. You Mossad agent, you.
I mean, that's a false equivalence, because, like, I mean, comparing North Korea to Iran. First of all, North Korea did not recruit 700,000 young men from across the region, from Iraq, from Iran also, from Yemen, from Lebanon, from Syria. They did not recruit all of these young people into joining non-state actors, terror militias, in order to destabilize their own countries and then attack neighboring countries with ballistic weapons. They were not supposed to get them in the first place. So
He's
you see, the
about
problem
the
here
IRGC,
is,
okay.
it's not, North Korea is just sitting in its own little box. Perfect. You know, at least it is contained. It's a
None of us are going to mention the fact they have nuclear weapons.
contained threat. However, Iran refused to be a contained threat.
No, Iran wants to be exactly like North Korea and be a non-contained threat, which is what you guys want. You want, but you won't let them have the aura that, since you won't say the nuclear word, you know, we'll call it aura. They need the same aura that North Korea has. Chat.
That's just not true. Let me, first of all, I think it's a good equivalent for a number of reasons. Yesterday, North Korea tested a ballistic missile that can reach the United States homeland. They're not sitting in their own. But I also believe it's a good comparison because United States.
So they're showing their dick size with their nuclear weapon? Yeah, normal. What do you mean? Is Iran even doing that? No. Have they even proved that they had nuclear weapons at all? No. That's my point. What do you mean you need to attack them?
In the four,
like everyone says, we attack them because they don't have a nuclear weapon. Hello?
Parties, and then the sixth party spent many, many years negotiating with North Korea, who convinced the world that they weren't going to build a nuclear weapon. We threw money at them. We threw food at them. We threw access to the international system.
And they still haven't built a nuclear weapon, despite Netanyahu saying it for how many years? They're 5 days away from a nuclear weapon. 7 days away. 2 weeks. 1 month. In 1 month, they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Believe me, I've seen the documents. We don't want to see a mushroom cloud over Lebanon. It would not be good.
And they continue to say, no, we'll never develop a nuclear weapon. Do you think that Iran is not following that same playbook?
Why has everyone agreed that Iran, of all people, can't have a nuclear weapon, even though I've heard North Korea say more things? Everyone was like, oh yeah, North Korea has a nuclear weapon. Okay, whatever. Yeah. I mean, they're saying they have missiles. And they're like, oh, they have so they're kind of saying, oh, they're kind of an escalating threat, but you don't hear I mean, Trump went over and shook Kim Jong-il's hand, which is great. Good. Yeah, good. All your neighbors too.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's true. Just hold fire, panel, for a moment. I want to bring in our guest now, General Sir Richard Sheriff. He's a former NATO commander.
Now it's come down to this. Even houses have to have mini nukes. They call them mini nukes. They're tiny, but they have them. You don't want to fuck with the house either. You go into the house, they set the nuke off. You can't send the cops in anymore. Who would have thunk? They got these mini nukes. They call them minis. I don't know why. Maybe they're like a micro penis. Some would say.
Commander, General, welcome.
Not related to me whatsoever. Not related to me. I didn't mean to say that. Oopsie.
To Uncensored.
Thank you for having me.
You've been pretty scathing about this. You've called Operation Epic Fury staggeringly arrogant. And you wrote in the Daily Mail, so we are living through it. As a lifelong soldier, I don't ask this lightly.
A liberal soldier, folks.
The outbreak of World War III. Certainly, I can't remember a more perilous moment in geopolitics in my lifetime. And I'm now 70.
That's right, I was in the Mounties.
I can't either. I'm actually 61 today, and I can't remember that either. As it's gone on, we're a month in now. Does your fear about this escalating to that kind of level, has that increased or decreased?
It's increased, without question.
Oh, shit.
I think the attack a month ago was launched without thinking through the possible consequences. I'm sure that
NATO.
military commanders would have war-gamed to death the potential for closing the Strait of Hormuz and would normally have taken sort of action to prevent it. But clearly it did not happen on this occasion. And I think the assumption was made that a lightning industrial scale aerial assault, such as we've seen, would be enough to do what? I mean, we didn't know. There's no clear design for battle. There is no clear strategy.
Bomb all the targets.
There is no clear idea of how this war ends. I think, and my concern is that...
No, Trump already said it. It's about the numbers. We have numbers. We have 3,500 left. That means we had, 15,000 targets total originally, something like that they wanted to take care of. I don't know.
We are about to see
20,000
escalation, potentially putting troops on the ground on the islands of the Strait of Hormuz or wherever. And then I think we have to take account of the linkages, the linkage between what's going on in Ukraine with Russia's genocidal war there, the fact that Russia is now supplying drones and targeting information to the Iranians. And I've no doubt there are further and wider
drones, possibly with no possibility of interference. Not good. Ukrainian drones are legendary. They have fiber optic cables. You cannot interfere with them. They have miles of fiber optic cable to control them. This is true, folks.
Linkages. So I think this is a deeply globally destabilizing event, not least, of course. It has completely knocked the global economic, the potential for knocking the global economy awry in a major way. Let's not assume the Strait of Hormuz is going to be opened anytime soon, because if the Americans land amphibious troops in that, for whatever,
they're definitely lying
that
about
coastline, this thing is going to run and run and run. And we're going to be back into a worse situation. You're probably not old enough to remember 1973 and the oil crisis then. Well, you might be, but we'll be back into that, but times 10.
Yeah, I was 8 actually then, but I do remember it vaguely. But I think the trouble is no one's learned the lessons from history, and I look at what's going on, and I think you were the Deputy Supreme Allied Commander.
It's not illegal. You can forage mushrooms anywhere. You're looking for psychedelic ones? Good luck finding those. Otherwise, it's legal. Are you talking about like morels and fucking
Commander for
chanterelles? Just go off. That's what they tell you. You're better off not going even to parks. Try to look for little sections of woods that fit the description of where that mushroom might particularly grow, and go look for them. And watch the fuck out for poison oak if you're allergic to it, especially in California. But there you go. That's how you forage in a capitalist society. But also, there's probably on Reddit, there's a forum where it'll tell you where the spots are. But people are notorious for not giving them away. I used to have a good spot in Marin.
You see some of the rhetoric coming out of Donald Trump
for chanterelles.
Very bellicose and negative about Europe, about NATO, about what he perceives to be the lack of cooperation.
I'll never tell anyone where it is, because it isn't a park either.
Operation Epic Fury. If you were still in your old job, how would you be handling this?
Well, I think I would make the assumption
that
Donald Trump
especially
pretty much single-handedly torpedoed NATO as an alliance. You have to understand NATO is an alliance
and go look for mushrooms,
which flourished for pretty nearly 80 years. And it's based on trust. It's based on common values. It's based on the doctrine of collective defense, that the alliance is there to support an ally if attacked, the famous Article 5. From the moment we saw Trump 2 come into power, we saw Vance and Hegseth announced very clearly that America was not going to underwrite European security.
No.
Now, I get that, because the Europeans, frankly, have been freeloading from America for decades. And so there's a part, Europe has a part to play in this. But then move forward. The fact that 2 months ago, Donald Trump threatened to attack the territory of a NATO ally, Denmark, over Greenland. Nobody has forgotten that. Europeans will not forget that. That is a grotesque breach of trust. The lead dog in the pack turns on the other, a smaller dog in the pack, as it were. So no surprise that no NATO ally is prepared to support Trump in.
My understanding about mushrooms, when I used to hang out, go look for them a lot more, especially when I lived in the Pacific Northwest, by the way, they have a lot more mushrooms up there, is that there's like specific ones you can eat, and you can pretty much figure it out by a book or searching on Google, but there's not many of them that that mimic the poison ones look poison, especially after you kind of look at them after a while. I don't know.
This particular ill-starred mission, no surprise for a start.
There's certain particularities about the what's it called, the ribs underneath too, that let you know it's not edible. Also smell. Most of them that don't smell good usually aren't very good to eat. Some of them that aren't good to eat, smell pretty good too, but I don't know.
It's not a NATO operation. NATO does not look at cover the territory of the Persian Gulf or the Arabian Gulf.
That's a good idea.
And absolutely, it does not support an ally launching an unprovoked, although you may argue that, but an attack which could well be construed as illegal against a party that had not attacked it. So there's no way that NATO should or could support it. But the message for NATO now is that NATO's got to pull its act together. The European members of NATO have got to get their act together.
I don't agree with the fact.
Recognize that, yes, they have to maintain links.
They do. They don't need to defend. Like, he didn't agree with what Trump said. Like, well, why didn't they come help me? We got attacked. We didn't get attacked. That agreement is if we get attacked, we defend each other, not the other way around. If we attack someone else, we go to war with them. That's not what it's about. What?
With America,
so he agrees.
And certainly in the UK's case, the intelligence and the military links are much deeper than political. They are built on, frankly, shoulder to shoulder, brothers and sisters in arms over many years. But that America, as an alliance ally, a member of the alliance, is not going to play a central part. So Europe needs to step up to the mark, and drawing on Mark Carney's words from Davos, develop and build an alliance based on the middle powers, which it can do if it's prepared to make the necessary sacrifices, and European leaders are prepared to show the necessary leadership.
In one word, is the special relationship
find a good spot and you're out
done,
when mushrooms are coming out?
Kaput?
Yeah.
I think the special relationship is a fantasy put about, if I may say so, Piers, by the media and politicians. It died, if it ever was one, it died in 1956 at Suez. And it's crazy to go on banging on about the special relationship.
Couldn't be clearer. General Schiff, thank you very much, Steve, for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, back to my panel now. I'm pleased to say we've been joined by the former CIA officer, John Kiriakou, who I'll come to in a moment. John, welcome back to you. General Kimmett, you were shaking your head throughout a lot of that interview with a British former general. You didn't agree.
Well, a couple of things. He first said that NATO is never operated in that region. He's just absolutely wrong. Operation Ocean Shield was conducted by NATO as part of the counter-piracy operations, so they have been there before. Second, the special relationship is not something that simply was a whim of the media. I lived that my entire 30-plus years in the military. I served side by side with Brits. We shared intelligence and we shared foxholes. So I think that special relationship still exists.
Does it?
And this notion about in his lifetime he'd never seen something this whacked up.
I've been hearing about this special relationship.
The 300,000 dead and wounded at Gallipoli because of British arrogance seems to me a fairly good comparison.
Here's the problem in California. Wherever you're going to find good mushrooms, you're probably going to find lots of poison oak.
So it just always bothers me with somebody with a nice...
The poison oak this year in my area is really good because it rained a lot here. So also the mushrooms are good too.
Oxbridge accent comes on and starts lecturing to the Americans.
You're sounding a little...
Most of them, the good ones, will be growing in forest or under like layers of leaves, you know? Like you could be walking by mushrooms sometimes in the forest and not know it because there's like, 4 inches of leaf kind of, and you might just see something poking out. You're like, what is that? So you kind of got to be sleuthy sometimes, but sometimes you're just like, oh, there's a fucking orange one. Especially the orange ones, they're easier to find. You'll just see a batch of them. And if you do find mushrooms, chatters, remember the spot because they always pretty much come back. Well, especially if they're not like dug up, because the mycelium grows underneath that mat. You're just picking the fruit. It isn't bad. It's actually good for the plant, for the mushrooms. What do they mean? They already shoot their spores out.
And one last point. Yeah. There is a solution to the Strait of Hormuz, which is I do not believe that Iran wants to fight with the British, the French, the Germans.
Why do you think a mushroom makes a flowering fruit that something might eat, i.e. us, or even the poison ones that other animals can eat? Because they probably can. Who knows? Probably not most mammals, but so that they get shit out, right? Come on.
1981 to 1989, the United States escorted Kuwaiti flagged and escorted Kuwaiti tankers in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. Hello? We can't do that this time because the Americans are belligerents. I wrote an article recently and the title...
Why are there seeds in like blackberries? Gee. Why does the bird not digest the seed? Because it has a hard outer shell. Comes out their poop. When does it come out? When they're flying. Whoopsie, we just invented a new way of spreading blackberries. Isn't that crazy, guys? Who'd have thunk?
Was where are the allies? So why aren't the allies like Britain and France and Germany, who have far better capabilities in countermeasure, and they're not active belligerents in this war, why are you not escorting the tankers in and out? China would join you as well. So as everybody is wringing their hands as the United States is bringing the world economy to its knees, why doesn't Britain and France and, God forbid, NATO take on that mission?
Just out of interest, General, where were you educated?
Like where I live, though, there's a lot of cows and a lot of oak trees. Just everywhere. So.
The United States Military Academy and Bishop O'Connell High School, a trade school in Arlington, Virginia.
You have a remarkably eloquent and clipped American accent, I have to say. Notwithstanding,
from being around the Brits, it's that special relationship I've had with the Brits over these years.
John Kiriakou, welcome back to Uncensored. Let's just talk for a moment about the domestic jeopardy that I think Donald Trump is risking here, and I think it's significant. The polling is terrible. It's the first time I can remember an American armed forces at war,
that's right,
even if they're not calling it that, which has not had
the School of
the
Americas
support of Americans.
We've been hearing of the
Gas
legendary School of Americas.
Food prices are and will go higher because of the issue with the fertilizer.
All the good South American warriors were trained at the School of Americas. Yeah.
You've got the midterm elections coming.
This guy knows about
General
the School
Kimmett
of
thinks
Americas.
he's already given up that. I'm not sure that's how Trump will be thinking, but certainly all the polling again suggests that the Republicans could lose both the House and the Senate now.
Get into the academy,
if this continues the way that it's going. It just seems a hell of a throw of the dice by Trump. And I'm increasingly thinking he's made a massive
before the fucking militant brass, mate.
What's your view?
Don't you know?
Oh, I think this is a disastrous miscalculation. Where do you even begin? You know, there's a very significant split right now within the Republican Party here in the United States.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Republican voters who voted for Donald Trump because they believed that he really was the no foreign wars president.
This is not
You
true.
might recall February 14th, Valentine's Day 2016, during a Republican debate in which Donald Trump called.
This was true before the war started. They have now come around. He's behind the times on this one. Most of MAGA, 70 to 80% of them, support this war.
Called George,
depending on which poll you check.
W. Bush a war criminal for getting the United States involved in the war in Iraq.
There's no 40 split.
And now
there's
all
no
of a
40,
sudden,
60 split.
It's as though it's John McCain's neoconservative Republican Party again. It seems to me that Trump surrounded himself with some people like Tulsi Gabbard, for example, and J.D. Vance, who reportedly have been opposed to these foreign interventions, but then others like Marco Rubio, who is sort of the successor to the John McCain wing of that party. And the party and the president himself don't know which direction to go.
Well, I think I would add Lindsey Graham.
Disappointed.
I'd add Lindsey Graham into that.
Lindsey Graham.
I think he's been extremely
You're 100%
vocal.
right.
But what you're really, it's so true about the split in the party. I saw Matt Walsh yesterday from the Daily Wire making the point that almost every Republican he's been talking to is against this war. And he said, that's highly unusual when you have a Republican administration that's gone to war.
What is he talking about?
For
he found the
Republicans
one MAGA fucking anti-war person.
He is hearing personally, anecdotally. He thinks it's not showing up yet properly in the polling. But I saw a thing about enthusiasm.
And then he goes on to admit
the
what I
midterms.
just said. Oh my God.
And I think the Republican enthusiasm now is down to like 60% and falling like a stone. Right? Which again,
that's the danger.
And I think that's the kind of quiet, that's the quiet voice there of people saying, we don't get this. This guy, the whole point of Trump was he would not take us into foreign wars, especially in the Middle East, and definitely no boots on the ground. I do think if he commits boots on the ground and it goes even half wrong, as many military strategies think it could, then I think this becomes his legacy. And again, I just asked the question, and I would ask it to the president myself if he calls me. I would just say, why did you do it now? I don't get it.
Why don't you call him, Piers? You got his number.
I don't think I've ever seen a gathering of more spineless people in my entire life. This is just simply, it's like a vacuum, Piers. Like President Trump woke up one morning and decided to go attack Iran because Israel convinced them, as if Iran does not pose a nuclear threat, as if there's no imminent threat.
But Doran, hang on.
What would be the red line for you, Piers, to say that they're an imminent threat?
Hang on, Doran. We'll take your insult.
Spineless coward.
The reason people think that's what happened is because that is what the Secretary of State of the United States told everybody on camera. Just to remind you, Marco Rubio said, when he was asked, why did America take preemptive action in this way? He said, because another country, brackets Israel, had informed the United States they were attacking Iran, and the expected result would be that Iran would, under that incident, it would then attack American interests, and therefore they had to get in first. And J.D. Vance has also said the same thing. We're not making this up.
Attack
this
the
is something
bases.
coming out of the mouths of the senior people in the administration.
The 12-day war, Piers, why did Trump join the 12-day war at the end of the war?
Well, the 12-day war...
Israel had been fighting alone for 11.5 days.
The 12-day war...
Why did Trump swoop in and take out these nuclear reactors? Because he believes that a nuclear Iran poses a major threat.
Sure, and we were
Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, they've all said many different things,
we were told that threat was eliminated.
The president himself said
we were told the 12-day war...
Iran has killed tens of thousands of Americans over the years. He understands.
Nobody disputes
the American people... This is their story. They don't need a reason to understand that there's evil in the world and stand up for evil.
I can prove in many different ways that the American government, by just being negligent, has killed more people, American citizens, than Iran has ever killed their own citizens, probably. Are you kidding me right now? The drug war alone has killed letting the Sacklers take over has killed more Americans. What? You think the money paid out of that is going to make any difference to the rest of the people that were affected and never got paid? No. What do you mean? This argument that they make where they're like, yeah, this is the red line that I draw. This is where I draw the line where they killed XYZ. So these numbers of people that they killed, that makes it carte blanche to do whatever the fuck we want to this other country or person or whatever, because, you know, I say so. What the fuck does this even mean?
By the way, the Brits are the ones who taught us this.
Sure.
The importance of standing up against evil. Like, what I don't understand about any of the people you brought on, are we just then going to surrender and let Iran just grow into a nuclear armed terror
incidents? It would.
We were told
the 12-day war.
Iran has killed tens of thousands of Americans over the years. He understands.
Nobody disputes
the American people. This is their story. They don't need a reason to understand that there's evil in the world and stand up for evil. And by the way, the Brits are the ones who taught us this.
Sure.
The importance of standing up against evil. Like, what I don't understand about any of the people you brought on, are we just then going to surrender and
British are fucking evil, man? What do you mean?
Just grow into a nuclear armed terror regime? Or does anyone, including you, have another idea of how to prevent this?
Yeah, I think the honest answer about that is that
I didn't think so.
Well, I haven't answered.
Well, while we're doing that, I'm going to take a look at my spine here. Apparently, it's been eviscerated.
No, not all of you, but some of you.
Some of you call General Kim spineless.
I think that there's. I see 3 with spines, including myself here. So you're one of the.
But there's nothing. There's nothing. Look, I don't think there's anything particularly heroic or courageous about launching the biggest military attack of modern times with the most overwhelmingly powerful military in history against Iran. That doesn't take particularly.
It's not to be a hero. Who needs to be a hero? It's
no, but I don't understand what the I don't agree that there was an imminent impending threat.
What threat,
I think
dumbass?
What would it take? The only imminent. Well, let me answer. The
what would it take? An actual threat, bitch.
Was that Benjamin Netanyahu told Trump, "We're going to attack." We now know from Anthony Blinken,
sometimes I think I'm on the
previous
panel.
Secretary of State, that he tried the same thing with
threat,
Obama
bitch.
and Biden. Told them he was going to attack, and then both Biden and Obama said, "We're not coming with you."
What a
and
threat
then
is.
guess what? Israel didn't attack, and that is why people believe, when you add Rubio's comments and Vance's comments, that what happened here is that Netanyahu railroaded Donald Trump into going along with this in a way that was actually rejected by.
That's a sign. I gotta hit it. All right, Chad, I'm out. I'll see y'all mañana. It'll be Tuesday, mate. I'll just work on my British accent. I did watch what was it called? Peaky Blinders, mate. There's a movie, like a Peaky Blinders movie, like lots of pig slop in that movie. Oh God, pretty good though. Pretty good. You know, usual British violence, but it was about like, you know, like back when the I think it was when Britain was getting bombed by the Germans, actually, and it was about this gypsy it was like a gypsy gangster that was operating in London. It was kind of a good movie, actually. Can't remember what it's called, like Peaky Blinders something. Anyway, with that, chat, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Spineless cowards, all of you, mate. All of you are spineless cowards, chat. Just kidding. Just kidding. Thanks for watching. Bye.